Good morning. If you know 3/4 of those who are in the room, I'm told you should know that you're next who's going to be sitting here. If you know the 3/4 of the retirees, then you're next. So let's bow down and pray as we prepare for that. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless and magnify your name. Thank you for this, another beautiful day that we're here gathered, my Father, for this forum, my God, for our great guests and honors, O Lord. Lord, we pray that, God, you may begin with us in this forum as we begin. Go ahead and start with us, Abba Father. We thank you, Lord, for each and every member who is here, a former employee of KenGen. The Lord, they delivered to us a KenGen that we are able to enjoy, to be in. And Father, we pray that even our intentions are going to be right before you, that even us, oh God, we shall deliver this company to the future generations, my Father. The Lord, it shall be made sustainable and greater, and it shall be established, my Father. As we begin this session, Lord, we pray that you're going to be with us and guide us through it, Abba Father. In everything that we shall do, God, we pray that it shall be for your honor and glory. When you see the end of it, we shall not forget to thank you. Be glorified and honored, for there is no other God worthy to be worshipped and exalted except you. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Barnes Mumboa. Haya maombi yamefika moja kwa moja. Thank you. Nimeweza kuomba nisimame hapa nitumie hili jukwaa ili ndugu Alex aweze kupiga picha nzuri kwa ajili ya hawa ndugu zetu ambao wamekaa. Sijui height table inaitwaje kwa Kiswahili? Meza ya juu? Ama ni meza ya chini. So our chairman and of course all protocol observed. Ndugu zetu ambao pia ni wageni wa heshima, ndugu wastaafu. Miaka 15 nilipopokea neema kufanya kazi katika shirika hili, kuna mtu aliniambia kwamba nianze kufanya maandalizi ya kustaafu. Na kipindi kile nilikuwa sijapata mshahara wa kwanza. Sasa nikamuuliza, sasa sijapata mshahara kwanza unaniambia anze maandalizi vipi sasa? Lakini baadaye nikaja nikaona alikuwa ananipa elimu ya bure. So kwa hivyo ndugu zetu wastaafu pamoja na mwenyeji wetu ambaye ni mhandisi William Kimote, wafanyikazi wenzangu, mabibi na mabwana, karibuni sana katika hafla hii ambayo tunazidi kusherekea, kuweka akili zetu pamoja na kupata elimu kuhusu masuala ya ustaafu. Kwa majina naitwa ndugu Isaac John. I want to appreciate the HR instruments that have called me principal. So I'm a principal. So before you is a principal Isaac. So bila kupoteza wakati, I want to invite Grace, who will give us a safety brief, ili tuweze kujua kwamba are we safe ama kukiharibika tunatokea wapi. Basi, Dada Grace, over to you.
Thank you. All protocol observed, the chairman of the KenGen, and all the delegates from KenGen. We are here today to say we are thank you as you choose our hotel as your host. The hotel has maximum security all over the compound. Wherever you walk, there is a trained guard and 2 policemen on patrol always. You are free to walk on your free time down the beach areas. There is a KWS office where you are supposed to do the inquiries before proceeding to the beach areas. The room is always manned by the security guard. It will always be locked and open for you when you come back, so all your things are safe in the room. In case there is an emergency, you just use the one exit door, you go down the ground floor. Outside the entrance of the conference, there is elephant compound where we do go in case of emergency. In case there is an emergency, always be available to guide you where to go. We do offer medical services in our hotel. There is a doctor on call always, and the ambulance for emergency always. In case you are not feeling well, I'm always available to take you where our doctor resides. We do have printing services, which is done around the convention areas, in case you want to do the printing. In case there is problem in our internet, there are people there to help you to get in touch with our internet. The password is Paradise 2023. It's free. You can use it when you are around our compound. The tea time starts at 10 o'clock to 11. Another tea is 4 o'clock to 5 at the tea lobby. I think some, they are already gone where the tea lobby is. Then opposite the tea lobby, there are washrooms, gents and ladies. The lunchtime will be served at the Dow Restaurant, ground floor, at 12:30 to 2 o'clock. You'll get your meal vouchers from people from food control and guide you where you are going to have your meal during the lunchtime. About the bottles, when you finish drinking the water, please leave them in the room. Do not work with them outside the room. They will be taken during the lunchtime by the banqueting team, and you will be given the fresh one in the afternoon section. Have a good day and enjoy yourself in Friday in Paradise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. Let's appreciate Grace as she walks away. So now, Grace, you've confirmed that we are safe. So I think now we can settle for the business of the day. At this point, ningependa tuweze kuburudika sasa. Ndio unapokuja Mombasa, Mombasa raha. Sasa leo raha tujipe wenyewe. As I invite. Thank you so much. So nilikuwa nasema kwamba Mombasa raha na raha jipe mwenyewe. So in the house we have Juko Arts, and just before I invite Juko Arts, allow me to invite our host, one engineer, William. William was a few classes ahead of me, and I'll tell you the story later. You can see he's laughing because during evening times he could come and you know, he loved Mutokoi so much. So during evening time, he could come and ask Isaac, do you have some Mutokoi left? So I'll give you the story, how it went. But at this time, allow me to invite him to the podium.
Okay, good morning once again. The chairman, Board of Trustees, DB scheme, Mr. William Rahendi. Chairman DC scheme, Mr. Ernest Nadome. Trustees present. The sponsor representative, Mr. Austin Oko. Representative of the acting MD and CEO, Mr. Abraham Serem. The trustee secretary, Mr. Josephat Muriuki. Secretariat staff present. RBA representative, scheme service providers, as the fund managers, custodian and actuary, pensioners, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jambo. I'm Jambo Tena. It is indeed my great pleasure to warmly welcome you to the Tamo region, Mombasa County, it's County 001. Hosting you is a great honor. Having in mind the common Mombasa phrase that says kuingia Mombasa ni rahisi, kutoka ni ngumu, so we may host you longer than expected. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share some insights about the region as rated by its peers in KenGen. The region is rated very highly in terms of charisma, innovation, and uniqueness. The guard of honor by our first aiders is just a sample of capable uniqueness. I think our chairman, Mr. William Rahend, has witnessed this, and we could have displayed much more if time was on our side. The region has 165 members of staff distributed in its 2 power plants, namely KPEB 1 and KPEB 3, and all staff are members of the scheme. The reason why 90% are here physically, and while the rest are attending virtually as they work. You know, in our control rooms, they cannot be left unattended. So as they work, they are there virtually and they are watching. And it's my pleasure now to recognize the presence of the KPEP members who are here, and may I request to be upstanding so that you be appreciated. Thank you. May be seated. Yeah, the first RBS AGM was held here in the year 2017. That is 7 years ago. I was not in the region then, but with my interactions, the event memories are still very fresh, since it was a great event. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to appreciate the Board of Trustees of the two schemes, that is the DB and DC, who have steered them to great heights. The DB scheme assets grew from 8.174 billion in the year 2021 to 8.254 in the year 2022. Can you appreciate that? That is despite the turbulent economy. Likewise, the DC scheme also grew the assets from 9.113 billion to 9.908 billion during the same period. Can you also appreciate the scheme? So on behalf of the members, we confirm to the trustees that the Secretariat and other communication channels, you are offering great top-notch customer service to members and pensioners in the region, and we applaud you. So ladies and gentlemen, I take cognizance of the efforts by the sponsor through the acting MD and CEO in supporting the scheme in the operations. I think you are mindful of members' welfare, and the gesture is really appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, our efforts here has been made possible by a very agile team. I appreciate the AGM committee members who worked tirelessly day and night to make the event a success. And may I recognize now the presence of the AGM committee members who organized this event, maybe upstanding. The guys who organized the event. Yeah, thank you so much. We can applaud them because these are the guys who ensured that we have this event a success. So without further much ado, and on behalf of Team Kipevu, I warmly welcome you all to the Coast Region, Mombasa County. Karibuni sana na mbarikiwe. Feel at home, and actually you've come at the right time when the climate is very favorable. I'm sure those who come not from the region, I think mmeweza kujifunika usiku, at least with a blanket or a duvet. Others, thank you so much, and we will be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer William. Just to confirm, surely this is our winter. We are really enjoying. This is our winter. So mmekuja kipindi ambacho ni kizuri, usiku tunajifunika. Wale ambao walinunua blanketi last year hawajajifunika, so a few days ago sasa tunajifunika. Well, we are very, very happy and excited. No, you can just buy a blanket and then you look at it. It has no work, it has no function. But this time around tunajifunika. Vile nyinyi Nairobi mnavyojifunika, even though Nairobi lazima uende blanketi, uongeze sheet ndani, uongeze duvet ndani, uongeze ile ingine ndani. But for Mombasa, so welcome. Jukwaa Arts, it's my pleasure to invite them to the podium as we go to enjoy, as we go to hear and listen. And of course, they have a message for us. So, Carol, if I was Jeff Koinange, I could have said how? Ningesemaje? Huh? You look good. So, karibu sana, Carol. Please, you're welcome.
Thank you. I just want to test sound. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Come and say hi. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. My name is Caroline Gorobi.
Excuse me, for the purpose of the online people, please use the microphone. Tusiwe wachoyo kuwapatia information pia sisi. Tafadhali, yes, use the microphone continuously.
Okay, fine. We'll use the microphones. All right, thank you very much. We're just going to present a short presentation. Most of the time, artists don't speak before the presentation, so allow me to invite the team on stage.
Kila mtu kuna energy. Madam Olivia. Let's go. Jisetini hapo haraka. Haya. Twende. Smile. Madam Olivia,
Mbona unachelewa?
Madam Olivia, energy.
Guys. Bana, we already have 15 minutes. If we do this, Bana, we already sweating. It's early morning.
But surely, dancer, who told you to come to a Zumba session with a suit?
But I was coming for the meeting. I was not coming to do Zumba.
Apana, it was clearly stated in the program. We are going to start with Zumba and then the meeting.
But the Zumba was in a bracket, so I knew it was optional.
No. In brackets meant dress appropriately.
But it's not only me who was caught off guard by that memo that came late. Look at Madam Olivia here. She's also not prepared.
I am ready for this. Can't you see people? Meeting Zumba.
Zumba wearing a skirt.
Anyway, look, let's just keep going.
15 minutes are over. Come on, guys. No.
You people, you know Zumba is good for my health. Please, let's do it again. Come on, let's do it again. Let's go.
Guys, your 15 minutes are over. Your time is up. Let's get to a meeting. Yeah, look at your watches.
Anyway, we can't just stop our workouts like that. We need to do something else that will help us to cool down, and then we can stop the workout.
True.
10 seconds. Only 10 seconds.
Okay, 10 seconds. This is our last move. Guys, energy.
That's done. Can't you see? Sister, help.
What is wrong?
I thought you were going to fall down. Apana, Madam Olivia, I'm just flexible. You see, if you keep working out, you will be able to do such things.
Yes.
Watafanifanyipo nianguke nivunjike mgongo na naenda kuretire. Mimi sitaki. In fact, time is over.
Okay, guys, thank you for participating in this. Next week, same place, same time. Na kujeni na nguo ya Zumba next time.
Aya, guys, let's go for 5 minutes water break and then start the meeting.
Okay.
Finally. Madam Olivia, let me tell you. Yoga, Zumba and me in the morning. We are not in the same WhatsApp group.
Why? I like Zumba a lot.
You do?
Yes.
Why would you like Zumba?
You know I have a routine. Zumba, it makes me flexible.
Why would anyone like Zumba in the morning? Why? Like, why?
You know I'm about to retire and Zumba is good for my health. You see? Every morning.
Zumba. Madam Olivia.
Yes?
Guys, what's going on here?
Sinafanya press-ups.
Wewe hiyo si press up bana. Press up ya aina gani hiyo? Mr. Dancer.
Yes.
Kwani hii meeting ilikuwa inaanza saa ngapi?
I was waiting for everybody else. The rest have not arrived.
Ni time imeenda sana bana. Sasa tunachukua 2 hours kuanzisha meeting. Ilikuwa 8 AM ama PM?
It was 8 AM. I am also wondering what is going on.
Sean,
Yes.
you know you are like my son. Please sign these forms for me.
Loan application form. I cannot guarantee you.
But why?
Nimenunua Subaru yangu juzi tu.
Kwa nini ununue Subaru mpya na nilikuona una gari mpya tayari? You have been with my car for 15 years.
15 years, the same car.
Yes.
That's you, not me, Madam Olivia.
Madam Olivia.
Yes?
What form is that?
Please, just sign these forms for me.
Loan application form 5 million.
Only.
5 million, Madam Olivia.
Yes.
Why you keep talking about retire?
Mentor.
Yes, how are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, fine.
Good morning.
You are good.
Habari zenu?
Nzuri sana.
Salama.
Salama sana, sir. Yes.
Bwana Dunston.
It's Dunstan, sir.
Oh, sorry, Dunston. When the meeting has not yet started?
Are you joining us?
Yes.
We are waiting for the others, sir.
Oh, but you have quorum. We can still sit and start the meeting.
Oh, okay, sir.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
you know you are like my brother.
Yes, my sister.
Hey, my brother. Please sign these forms for me.
This is a loan application form.
Yes.
Olivia,
Yes.
technically I can't help you. Dunston, what are the agendas for today?
We were discussing venues for our team building activity, and there were some people who wanted to do low altitude. They wanted to go to the beach. And then there were the ones who wanted to do mid altitude. They wanted to go to Naivasha. And the ones for high altitude wanted to go to Mount Kenya.
But this is a team building exercise.
Yes, sir.
Why should people choose between longitudes and latitudes?
It was just altitude, sir.
Oh.
I hope the meeting. Senior engineer.
Madam Janet,
Senior engineer.
how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am fine.
It's long since I've seen you.
It's long since I saw you too.
Umekuja kututembelea.
Unaweza sema hivyo.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
I'm surprised to see you.
I'm also surprised to see him.
Why are you surprised to see him?
Here for a long
The
time.
engineer has been around. When Kipevu has gotten bigger. What happened? Engineer has been around. He came back from Takwel, I think in May.
Kweli ya KenGen.
Yeah. He came back in May. Amekuwa. Actually, at the last meeting we had last week. You're not there last week. He's senior. He's the one who chaired that meeting.
Senior, you've been chairing meetings.
Yes.
Sharing is a big word. Let's just say I was sharing my knowledge and expertise at that meeting.
I see. They invited you as a consultant.
You can say that. Asante.
Where are you in the meeting?
Please wait. You mean if I retire, wataniambia nirudi tena kazini? Miss, yes, they better stay at home and rest.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
You people. Senior retired 8 months ago. Kwani hamjui?
8 months ago.
Yes,
And attended his retirement party.
in Pride.
Okay, wait, mentor. Si uliniambia umekuwa transferred to Takwel.
Transfer is a big word. Sawa.
But engineer, if you retired, why would you keep coming back to work? So you can do money and relax.
It's simple. I'm a young man. Okay, I'm young at heart. Have so much to give to this company. So why not avail myself?
Mimi nimeretire leo. 500 nimeretire. 501 I'm outside the gate. 5:30 airport. 6 Bahamas.
Sean, unaona mimi, if I retire today, 5:02, I am in the aeroplane, first class, sipping on champagne. My Gucci shades are on, Balenciaga on this side. You're on this other side.
Yes.
Mary!
Who's Mary?
The air hostess. Pea co-pilot mbili, pea pilot tatu, pea ndege nzima kwa milango.
Wakwe walevi.
Wakwe walevi, where we headed? Mauritius. After Mauritius,
Tunaingia Miami.
After Miami, tunaenda Hawaii. After Hawaii,
Tunaingia Monaco.
after Monaco, tunaenda Ibiza. After Ibiza,
Kabul.
Kabul, Afghanistan.
Kaboom! End of the road.
What is Kabul?
Kabul.
What is Kabul?
The capital of Afghanistan.
What happened to Afghanistan?
Kaboom.
Kulilipuka na hata sikuona kwa news.
Let's go.
Anyway, the point is, my retirement plan is that I will travel the world for the rest of my life.
And do nothing.
Exactly.
Na pesa gani dada?
I see pension. Kwani mbona tunakatwa?
Janet, pension. But pension is just 10% of our salary. Now those things you want to do, can you do them with 100% salary that you're receiving right now? Now imagine having to do them with just 10%.
Haiwezekani. You see, when I retired, I traveled from Kizingo to Ganze. Kaboom!
Nimekupata, ulienda Afghanistan.
Umenikosa.
Kaboom! End of the road.
I don't get you guys.
Lakini senior, from Kizingo to Ganze, isn't that just relocating?
Exactly. That was the plan.
Senior, if you relocated, why would you come back to town to all this noise and the fumes and the traffic? So you just have stayed at home, Upumziki.
Dunston,
It's Dunston.
the day you will wear my shoes, you will know where my socks pinch.
Engineer, si uko na shamba kubwa huko ungebaki ukalima.
Kulima nililima. Let's sit and continue with the meeting.
Engineer Frederick, hebu nieleze, ulilima nini? You know it's my plan, nikisha retire ningependa kufanya farming.
But Olivia, I think you have told me your retirement plan is to do housekeeping.
Yes, but nitafanya zote tu.
Okay, so I have 50 acres of land. Uko Ganze.
Oh, really? You're a serious investor?
Hey, you know in life you have to follow two principles. You either go big or go bigger. So I bought the best fertilizers.
How many bags of fertilizer?
Nyingi. I bought the best manure.
How many bags of manure?
Nyingi.
Okay. Kumbe mnajua story kuna wakulima wenzangu hapa.
They listen. So we planted maize and then waited for the rains. Waited for the rains.
How many bags of maize did you get?
Hakuna. My money went into waste. I'm not a farmer. I am an engineer. That's why I'm back at this company. That's what I know how to do best. Let's sit and continue with the meeting.
Senior engineer, legally, you're not even supposed to be within the company premises. You are retired. You should be at home enjoying your retirement. What would possibly bring you back to work?
When I retired, I knew my life will be great with my wife, Margaret. But unfortunately, she's not around.
Oh no, what happened?
No.
Oh, she's around. But she's not around.
What do you mean? Huh?
She's all around. Okay, she goes from meeting to choir to meeting to wedding to funerals to meeting while I'm at home sitting and sitting and sitting. I built walls that protected me from financial insecurities. I forgot to build bridges that connected me with people. I have no friends. When you overwork, you get colleagues, not friends. And when you retire, your colleagues will be at work while you will be at home, alone.
Guys, someday we'll also be retiring. We need an actual retirement plan. We need to look for something we like to do and know how to do, so that when we retire, we can have something to occupy us.
That's why mimi nimeamua tu kufanya housekeeping.
Housekeeping? How does this business of housekeeping work?
Housekeeping wako na pesa sana. In fact, I'll start by buying two, a male and a female. Wakizaana, I just take them all around the beaches. Have you ever been to Mama Ngina ukaona venye watu wana ride horses?
Olivia,
yes.
Kwani, what is the gestation period of a horse?
Kwani si kama mbuzi?
Madam Olivia,
yes.
What will you feed the horses?
Farasi wanakula nini?
It is your business.
Are you sure you actually want to venture into this business?
I'm not sure. They're too demanding.
Hata ujaanza?
Ama ni yeke donkeys?
Hey, Olivia! Do you know anything about donkeys? How would you win? The things you do right now when you are free are the same things you're going to do when you retire.
Hey, kama vile I do cars. I love cars.
Napenda magari. You see, I take a loan, buy a car, then I top up the loan, I buy a new car. Mr. Dancer, we are in this together.
We are not in this one together. I meant, for me, it's business. You know, I love old cars. So we buy old cars, we refurbish them, we sell them. The other day, tumeuza Nissan B14 for a handsome profit.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
Unaona, si afadhali ungenunua gari kwa huyu. Angalia sasa umeshindwa kunisainia form zangu.
Lakini, where are you getting the money to finance all of this?
Si pesa tunalipo hapa.
Pesa gani?
Of course, money will never be enough. It is the truth of this life.
True.
Haitawahi tosha. But you see, if you learn to look for investment opportunities, ukiona, you grab it by the horns.
Unaishika kabisa.
Exactly. Even the small investment opportunities, just buying up shares.
Buying shares is a good long-term investment. See, today, I'm reaping the benefits of my investment I did years ago.
Mimi, hii mambo ya investments, I don't trust it because every other time they keep fluctuating.
Ukweli, hawa watu ni waizi. Una invest, una expect hii. Unapewa haka.
Exactly.
But guys, come on. Financial times are never the same. Some years are leaner than others.
Zinageuka geuka.
Yeah, because of economic factors. Janet, if you learn to assess your risks, some investments are high risk, others are mid risk, and others are low risk. Hey, you need to learn to spread your risks. Come on, Mimi, the day I learned to spread my risks.
Yes.
Like my house in Chuda. I have been able to finish buying it.
How will you pay rent?
No. I bought it.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, continue making those proper investments. And all of you, you should borrow a leaf from his book. Increase your revenue streams so that when you retire, it's not only pension utakuwa unapata. Dunston, endelea hivyo hivyo. Soon you'll join the 7-figure club.
Millionaires club.
Na hiyo pesa ni tamu.
Dunstan,
Yes.
how old are you?
I'm turning 41 this December.
41. Guys, at 58 hata sijajipanga, sijui nifanye nini. Nimewambia nifanye housekeeping, mumekataa. Donkey keeping, mumekataa. Ama basi nifungue supermarket.
Wajua.
Ama basi nifungue petrol station.
Madam Olivia, I think you should take your time to assess what you actually want to do in your retirement.
Take my time. I don't have time. Next year, December, I will not be here. Hey, guys, Sean, my son, please sign this forms for
Mimi
me.
sijajipanga bado.
So, you have not been saving?
No, I have been saving, but for the weekend.
Hey, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the arms to rest, and the poverty shall come to you like a prowler. Tuchukue viti tuendelee na meeting.
Senior, you're still not supposed to be in this meeting. You need an activity that you will be doing now that you are retired.
What activity?
Enda ucheze hata golf.
Hey, I've never played that sport.
Ama ufungue M-Pesa basi.
Olivia!
Senior, what do you like doing?
Servicing turbines.
That is worse.
Something else?
Oh, I enjoy upgrading turbine efficiency.
No. Something you do during the weekends.
Yes.
Visiting Takwel.
Senior, something fun.
Simgianza na hapo. Visiting Olkaria for fun.
No.
Senior, something else that is not out of KenGen.
Basi gani? I've worked for this company for the last 33 years. That's all I know.
Okay, mentor. Way back in campus, ulikuwa unapenda nini?
Especially during your free time.
Yes.
Free time gani? I was studying engineering. There was no free time.
Okay, senior. Before engineering swallowed you whole, I am sure there was a fun Frederick. Ulikuwa unapenda kufanya nini?
Yes.
Newton's law of motion. You see, when I met Margaret,
Yeah.
na mnasikiza, I used to write to her love pieces.
Poetry.
No, songs. Zikalangwa ndoto nilo zamtanga. Nilole mino zikalangwa motu gangu gosini to ni zaheri mhoho mtanga achinipa henzori moho.
Sena nina henzo kisha ni henzo rajeri.
Jerry.
Na mino achini tuwa na misiweza kukahala. Mana henzo ni rajeri asena nini hendeze.
Maya shiro zisirirwa.
Oh, but Olivia, senior, kuna talent. Engineer, why don't you do this? Think about investing in a studio huko Kanzi. Yes, then you can tap young talent, you nurture them, and you can mentor the young talent huko.
And mentor young engineers. Eureka! I have found my retirement plan. So let me enjoy my retirement.
Enjoy, sir.
Excuse me.
Excuse, sir. Kwa heri.
All right, guys. since we actually haven't had this meeting,
Yes.
we'll reschedule it to next week, Tuesday. But for now, let's go back to work.
Okay.
Guys,
Sounds
wait. Who will guarantee me?
Why?
Another round of applause to Jukwaa Arts. I'll guarantee you that my sister, don't worry. Hata kama umekataa njoo kwangu. Me, I sign for everybody. I'll sign for you. Bring, hata kama ina milioni 10, we'll sign. Kwani iko nini? Pesa or tax? Uliza Charles Masio will tell you pesa or tax. Iko pesa. Bring it. Thank you. So I think that was good. That was real good. So when you read the book of Revelation, it said that usiongeze wala usipunguze. So niruhusu niongeze tu lakini sipunguze, maana nikipunguza nitakuwa natenda dhambi. Ila kwenye kupunguza ama kuongeza tutazidi kuendelea pale mbele. Otherwise, thank you so much Jukwaa Arts. That was very educative and I believe kila mmoja wetu umepata taarifa ya kwako. So retirement is real. Retirement is real. So ladies and gentlemen, let's prepare. Kyoko, let's prepare for retirement. Sawa. So thank you. At this juncture, we are now officially settled for the business of the day. It's my pleasure to invite our chairman, who will be able to take over from there. And of course, we'll be doing a lot of coordination with him. Ninaomba kwa makofi mazuri munisaidie kumleta bwana CPA William Rahedi. Please, a better round of applause. This morning when he was inspecting the guard of honor, when I was escorting him, kidogo akawa na babaika, akaniuliza maswali, how is it done? I had to explain to him. Kidogo akaniuliza kuna can I tell them? Niendelee. Akaniuliza kama kidogo wanatoa sadaka, nikamwambia sadaka ipo. And he really appreciated. Well, how was it, sir?
An exceptional occasion.
Wow. Kipevu, oh yeah. Kipevu, oh yeah. Engineer, these are your people. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Good.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 28th of July. It's a special occasion because it confirms that the work you're doing and the hopes you have for tomorrow are being looked after, and you can plan ahead to what you can do. The skit was a fantastic representation of the plans we can put in place now that we have seen that you can also miss having a plan. Thank you for that presentation. Before I proceed, I think there was a security gap in the presentation. When I walked in, I almost tripped over the wiring on the floor. And I think maybe I apologize to the team doing the videos and the communication. I didn't have eyes on my feet. So my apologies. And as a security concern, please notice the floor. Usually when KenGen and Ketako and the others do their wiring, it's very visible. So my apologies. But members, this 28th of July is special. So members, trustees, and industry stakeholders, good morning. We appreciate that you are attending this occasion. I've heard reports of the struggles people went through to get here. So thank you for being here. You make the day complete, and you can have an opportunity to be reassured of the investment you're making into the future by being present and representing others. So on behalf of the KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme Board of Trustees, it's my honor to welcome all KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme 23rd Annual General Meeting for the year ending 31st December 2022. My name, as you heard, is William Rahedi. I was recently elected chair of the KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, the DB scheme. I would like, first and foremost, to thank the outgoing chairman of this scheme, chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Joseph Chitati, for his outstanding service and for being an exemplary leader for the past 6 years that has seen the scheme develop its 10-year strategic plan and implementation of the first half of the strategic plan, which has seen the scheme make tremendous strides in its performance and service delivery to members. When William Botter was here, he gave you statistics of how the scheme has grown. Thank you, Mr. Chitati. And if you could stand up and just be acknowledged by our people here who have seen your hard work. Asante sana. Kindly allow me to acknowledge the presence of newly retired members who are joining this AGM for the first time as senior citizens. Karibuni sana. I don't know if any are present who have just retired. We know they are there, but they might be participating virtually. Unfortunately, the scheme has also lost some members and pensioners during the year. Today, we also remember them and continue to pray for their families. Let us all stand and give them a minute's silence, please. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can take your seats. May they rest in peace. May I call upon the Trust Secretary to advise if you have a quorum.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Chair, as at this moment, we have 123 members attending physically and 667 members attending virtually, and I wish to confirm that we have a quorum and we are duly constituted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. A quorum hence being formed, I declare the meeting to be properly and duly convened. Today's AGM is hybrid. That is, convened both physically and virtually. Therefore, we shall have a few ground rules to adhere to. For virtual attendees, we have a chat mode that will be running throughout this session. You are encouraged to raise any questions and comments on that platform. Our team from the Secretariat will be responding to the queries raised. We shall address the questions during our question and answers, where we shall also address queries from the physical audience. For those present, we shall pass the microphone round for you to share your questions or comments. You can also channel your follow-up questions and comments through the email on agm@kengensrbs.co.ke. To engage with you, we shall also be running polls during the session and encouraging you to participate once it's open. For those attending the AGM physically, printed poll questions have been issued to you together with their audited accounts. Please fill out the same and then drop the questionnaires at the registered desk located at the entrance of the venue. For any assistance, kindly reach out to the ushers. Trust Secretary, kindly share the first poll.
Thank you, Chair. We share. Thank you, Chair. We will not share with the members joining virtually the first poll question. The Chair, as it's already on their screen, the poll question is asking members on how they access scheme information. The question is, how do you, as a member, access information from the scheme or on the scheme? The first answer is the scheme offices. That is physically visiting the scheme offices. The second one is visiting the scheme website, which scheme has a website. Chair, the third one is the scheme social media pages. Chair, the scheme has a Twitter pages, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all that. And also the scheme has a quarterly newsletters, Chair, which we share with members quarterly for their details. So Chair, we give members approximately some few seconds so that they complete. And I know they are doing that. So the question is, how do you, as a member, access information from the scheme? These are multiple questions. So, Chair, the results are out. Most of the members, 35%, visit the scheme physically. 35% too of the attending members visit the scheme website. A very lower number of 12% do the social media pages. And also a big number of 67% access our quarterly newsletter. It's a confirmation that our newsletter is doing well, and we just need to enhance it and include more information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretary. Now, the Board of Trustees that takes care of the assets of the scheme, you need to know them. Members, I'm a privilege to serve in the board with a team of dedicated and professional trustees. Kindly allow me to introduce them to you. And as I introduce you, trustees, please stand up and be clearly recognized. I will start with myself. My name is William Rahedi. I'm the chairman of the board and nominated trustee by the sponsor, KenGen PLC. Let me introduce the rest of the trustees. Elizabeth Njenga, Austin Olko, Jennifer Mbugwa, Rona Kibet, Teresa Karani, Anes Nandomi, Muhammad Abdi, Patrick Kimemia, these are the people who are entrusted with moving the scheme forward. Feel free to interact with them and to get to know them even more. Today, we also bid farewell to our retiring trustees. These trustees have served the organization with distinction and have left an indelible impact on our success. Their tireless effort, wisdom, and passion have been instrumental in driving our organization forward and achieving our goals. We extend our deepest gratitude for their dedicated service and wish them well in their future endeavors. Once again, let us appreciate them. Joseph Sitati, sponsor appointed, who has also served as the chairman of the Board of Trustees for the last 6 years. C.S. Miano is not here, but you all know her. She was also sponsor appointed. Mary Malu is here, sponsor appointed. Peter Mutemi, you all know him. He's not present. Not in this one. I'm informed by the trustee next to me that I should also mention Abraham Serem. He's not in my notes, but you all know Abraham Serem, a very present factor in our organization. As we bid farewell to our retiring trustees, we welcome our new trustees who have joined our board. These exceptional individuals bring wealth of experience, fresh perspective, and deep commitment to our organization's mission. May I now take this opportunity to introduce the trustees who joined the scheme during the year 2022. One, Mr. Austin Ouko. Mr. Austin Ouko was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2022 as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently the Company Secretary and General Manager, Legal Affairs at KenGen PLC. He holds a Bachelor of Law, a Master of Law in Public Finance and Financial Service Law from the University of Nairobi, Master of Science of Law from Stanford University Law School, California, USA. He's also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Commissioner of Oaths, Notary Public, Registered Certified Public Secretary, Fellow of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, Kenya, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, UK and Kenya, an accredited governance auditor, member of the Law Society of Kenya, the International Bar Association, the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, and the Kenya Institute of Management. That's Austin Ouko. And then number two, we have Jennifer Mbugua. Ms. Mbugua was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2022 as sponsored nominated trustee. She is currently the Human Resource Service Manager with KenGen PLC. She holds a Master's in Business Administration, Human Resource Management, specializing from the University of Nairobi, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Government and Public Administration from Moi University. She is also a certified human resource professional from the College of Human Resource Management. She is also a member of the Institute of Human Resource Management. Additionally, after the retirement of trustees as stated above, the sponsor nominated the below additional trustees to the scheme in 2023. I, William Rahedi, I was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2023 as a sponsor nominated trustee, and I am currently an independent and non-executive director of KenGen PLC. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Accounting from the United States International University, and a Master of Business from Nairobi University. I'm also a certified public accountant and a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. Mr. Rono Kibet. Mr. Kibet was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2023 as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently serving as the Technical Assistant to the Managing Director and CEO of KenGen, and as an Alternative Business Manager at KenGen PLC. Mr. Kibet holds a BSc Electrical Engineering, majoring in Telecommunication and Information Engineering from JUCAT, and an MSc Project Management from the same university. He has certification in Project Management, Contract Management, Geothermal Project Financing, and he has a diploma and higher diploma in Management of Information Systems from the Institute for the Management of Information Systems. Engineer Teresa Karani. Engineer Teresa was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2023 as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently the Electricity Dispatch Manager at KenGen PLC. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical and Electronic Engineering and an MBA in Strategic Management from the University of Nairobi. She also holds a diploma in Geothermal Utilization from the United Nations University, Iceland. She's a registered professional engineer with the Engineering Board of Kenya and a corporate member of the Institute of Engineers of Kenya. In addition, after the retirement of Mr. Peter Muteme, a trustee nominated by the Kenya Electrical Trade and Allied Workers Union, the union nominated the below trustee to the scheme, Mr. Muhammad Ali Abdi. Mr. Abdi was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2023 as a member of the Electrical Trustees and is currently the Senior Assistant Foreman of the Kamburu Transport Workshop. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration and is a member of the Kenya Institute of Management. He currently holds various positions which include Executive Board Member, Central Organization of Trade Unions, Kenya, National Assistant General Secretary and Branch Secretary, Mount Kenya East, Kenya Electrical Trade and Allied Workers Union. Members present with us today are our professional service providers who continue to work together with the trustees to ensure that you have a comfortable retirement. Also gracing our AGM is the representative from the Retirement Benefits Authority, the industry regulator. Mr. Seth Onyango, if you're here, please, if you could just stand up, we recognize you. Thank you. The investment managers, Gen Africa Asset Managers, Steve Biko, if you're present, please, let's acknowledge you, or your representative. So, your Salama Assets? Gen Africa. Maybe your name? Emma Mugo has replaced Steve Biko. Do not miss her name. Eh? Sanlam Asset Managers, Dan Gefago, welcome. Custodians, NCBA Bank, Eva Mwangi, welcome Eva. Actuals, Samara Consultants Limited, Linus Mohar, welcome. And the auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Linus Kelvin Kailikia, welcome. Now, these independent persons check on the work the trustees and the management are doing so that we are in sync. You can also ask them questions that you may feel you need to ask them as we interact today. But also for this meeting to happen, we have a secretariat that keeps on responding to all the challenges and queries that members bring up. So allow me now to call upon the CEO and Trust Secretary to introduce his management team, a team that the board has confidence in and assure you of their total dedication to service delivery. You see, we run on Joseph's timeline. I'm told Jennifer Odwo, I don't know if she's present, but she has been elected to replace Patrick Kimemia, who will be retiring from the Board of Trustees at the end of this weekend. I'm sure you took part in the elections.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to introduce my management team present. We can start from where they are. I know some of them are handling various items. Chair, on my far left, we have Purity Kamau, the Senior Pension Officer. We have Nicodemus Kipto, the Senior Finance Officer. We have Hanan Gohe, the Senior Investment Officer. On the far end, we have Jeremiah Gishiri, the Senior ICT Officer. On the far, on the behind, we have Grace Kimani, the admin assistant, and next to Grace we have Albert Anam, the one in charge of pension administration, help impunity. And outside we have Billy Oriki, the one in charge of procurement, and also joined by Anthony Mangeli, the one in charge of property. You can raise your hand, Anthony. And then we have finance officer, an accountant called Rashid Kanywa. You can raise your hand. Chair, that is part of my management team. The rest are joining us virtually from Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephat. I now request the Trust Secretary to read the notice convening the meeting. Sorry, come.
Thank you, Chair. Now I read the notice. Chair, this is a notice convening this meeting. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting for KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, the DB scheme, Chair, will be held here at Pride Inn, Paradise Resort, Mombasa on 28th July 2023. The meeting was expected to start at 10 a.m. Chair, the agenda for the meeting as one is to read the notice convening the meeting, what I'm currently doing, to receive the chairman's report, to receive the fund manager's report, to receive the custodian report, Chair, and also to receive the scheme audited financial statement for the period ended 31st December 2022, together with auditor's opinion thereon, and also to receive the remarks from the LRBA. Then we'll have the plenary session and AOB, which has been received in due notice, and then the closing remarks. Chair, also to note on the notice that there's a hybrid AGM where members from Kipevu and Allowed Coast are joining physically and members from other areas are joining virtually. This notice was given or issued to members on 14th of June 2023 by the order of the board, and it was signed by myself, Josephat Muriuki, the CEO and the Trust Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephat. Let me give you the chairman's report now. We now review item 6 on the agenda of the scheme's audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December. So, dear members, the Board of Trustees are elected to present 23rd Annual Financial Report of KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme that covers the financial year ended December 31st, 2022. It has been a turbulent year. Major drivers of low performance in 2022. IMF estimated in 2022 the global GDP grew by 3.4%, slower than the 6% recorded in 2021. Attributable to global market weakened as inflation soared, causing cost of Russian invasion of Ukraine, disrupting commodity supplies, and spurred an energy crisis in Europe, while the impact of COVID-19 caused an economic slowdown in China. Locally, Kenya's economy expanded by 4.8% during the year, according to the Central Bank of Kenya. This was lower than the 5.3 and 5.5 projected by IMF and World Bank, respectively. This was mainly due to insufficient rainfall, resulting in agricultural sector contraction and deterioration of business conditions in the Kenya private sector due to the weakening of the Kenyan shilling and inflationary pressures that resulted. Central banks of developed markets steadily increased interest rates in a bid to combat the rising inflation. This negative impacted the local capital markets, with foreign investors exiting the local equity markets, hence the dip in value of prices for large market capitalization stocks at the NSE. Investors continued to bid for higher interest rates to cushion their investments' return from being eroded by high inflation. This hence led to a rise in interest rates for both short and long-term government securities, and also lowered the value of treasury bonds, as interest rates and prices are inversely related. Scheme funding position and investment strategy. Funding position. With the ongoing implementation of the actuarial deficit funding schedule, we are optimistic that the scheme will attain full funding by June 2024. The sponsor has duly been making monthly payments of the funds which are reinvested by the scheme to investment managers to high-yielding government securities, which have proven to be more resilient in the current market volatility. During the year, the sponsor remitted Kenya shillings 787.2 million towards deficit funding, bringing the amount paid from July 2019 to December 2022 to Kenya shilling 1.848 billion. i.e. 54.69% of the total of deficit amount of 3.38 billion. The strategy here, members, the scheme portfolio has been well diversified to various asset classes: real estate, government securities, equities, offshore, and money markets, which cushion the scheme from market volatility. During the year, the scheme fully exited its investment in Roslyn Springs through the sale of 14 townhouses, reducing its real estate allocation from 56.7% recorded in 2021 to a close at 52.2% in 2022. The scheme targets to gradually reduce its exposure in real estate to 30%, as stipulated by the investment policy statement. Through its investment managers, the scheme continues to scout for opportunities in offshore markets and alternative investment, which are in line with the scheme's risk appetite. Despite the volatility in capital markets, the fund value increased by 0.9% to close the year ending December 31st, 2022 at 8.2554 billion. The increment is due to receipts of actuarial deficit funds and proceeds of the sale of the townhouses that were reinvested in high-yielding securities. During the year, the scheme had a net return of 3.1% compared to the industry return of 1.2%, which confirms the resilience of our investment diversification strategy. Governance. During the year, several changes were registered with the retirement of CS Rebecca Miano and Mr. Abraham Serem from the Board of Trustees. This marked the appointment of Mr. Austin Ouko and Jennifer Mbogwa. Additionally, more trustees have retired during the current year: Mr. Joseph Sitati, Mary Malu, Peter Mutemi. With the exit, we have seen the appointment of Mr. Ronald Kibet, Teresa Karani, Muhammad Abdi, and myself. The board thanks the outgoing trustees for their involvement in steering the scheme to greater heights and welcomes the incoming trustees, and we believe their presence will strengthen the board to deliver its mandate. As part of ensuring good governance, the board undertook the annual board evaluation, which enhances accountability and highlights areas of improvement as they execute their mandate. Awards. Members, with the difficult investment environment, the scheme, however, was able to scoop the following awards. 1, the Champions of Governance Award 2022. This is an award for excellence in governance issued by the Institute of Certified Secretaries, given to those organizations and individuals that exhibit the highest standards of practice of good governance in line with its vision and mission. Additionally, we also won the following awards. Chairman of the Year Award, Mr. Joseph Sitati, second runners-up. The CEO of the Year Award, Josephat Murioki, winner. Champions and Governance Award, first runners-up. Members, can we acknowledge these achievements? Well done. Kenya Pensions Award. This is an award that celebrates excellence, professionalism, and dedication within Kenya's pension space. The scheme was the winner under the Diversity and Inclusion Award category. Makofi tafadhali. Financial Reporting, the FIRE Award. This is an award that recognizes the best practice of financial reporting. The scheme was awarded second runners-up. Please applaud. You have those reports, sir. The lookout for 2023. The International Monetary Fund forecast the global GDP growth for 2023 to be 2.8%, marking a sharp slowdown from 3.4% growth in 2022 due to tightening monetary policy as both developed and emerging markets raise interest rates as they combat rising inflation. Kenya's GDP is measured to grow by 5%, according to the World Bank, as the agricultural sector is expected to rebound with the increasing in rainfall improvements of business conditions to the private sector. Members, the board remains committed to securing your financial future and is aware of the prevailing uncertainties in the capital markets and prevailing global inflation. The implementation of the scheme's 10-year strategy is on course. The review and the alignment of investment profiles is continuing to ensure the scheme garners higher returns to achieve liquidity while preserving members' capital. We remain committed to serving our members and creating value on our members' contribution as we aim to pay beneficiaries, all our members, and benefits of all our members and the coming generation. Finally, I thank my fellow board members, the sponsors, the Secretariat for your support and commitment during the year despite the turbulence. I'm truly grateful to you for your effort ensuring the scheme's continued success. I would also like to recognize and appreciate the regulator, RBA, investment managers, actuarial custodians, auditors, for taking time to join us and share our insight. We look forward to our future fruitful engagement. Thank you. Now I'll ask service providers to be given an opportunity to submit their reports. I will start with Dan. Solomon, please come and give us your report as a fund manager.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, good morning, members. As has been introduced by the Chair, my name is Dan Gadogo, and I'll be making the fund manager's presentation. It's a joint report that has been prepared by Sanlam Investments and Gen Africa Asset Managers, who are the scheme managers for the year that ended in, who are the current scheme managers for the scheme. So to start with, in terms of the order of the presentation, I will take you through the role of a fund manager, what we do for the scheme. I will take you through an update on the macroeconomic environment, as well as what transpired in 2022. And we'll close by looking at how your scheme is currently invested and what we project will be the returns from the scheme for this year. So to start with, on that slide on the role of a fund manager, key among them is that we advise the members of the Board of Trustees on how to go about the investment options. All pension schemes in Kenya are regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority, and the RBA generally allows schemes to invest in those 4 asset classes that are listed there. And those 4 asset classes are fixed income, equities, offshore, and what we call alternatives. And just to give a brief definition of both, under fixed income members, we have investments that are interest-bearing, investments like treasury bills, treasury bonds, and fixed deposits. And when we look at how your scheme has been invested, a large portion of your scheme is invested in those securities, that particular asset class that is called fixed income. We have what is called equities. Equities members is simply investments in shares, investments in the stock market. So again, your scheme is a big investor in equities. We have what is called offshore. So just maintain the previous slide. So whoever's moving there. We have what is called offshore. Again, offshore are investments in securities outside East Africa. So again, your scheme for the year that ended in 2022 was an investor in what we call offshore investments. And we have alternatives, and alternatives is investments in investments like property and private equity. And again, members, the DB scheme had invested in property for the year that ended in 2022. We also required to invest the scheme assets in accordance to a policy called a document called the Investment Policy Statement. And this is a document that is drawn by the Board of Trustees. It advises on how scheme investments should be done. And we're required to report to the trustees on a regular basis. The law requires that we report to the trustees on 2 times a year. And I'd like to confirm that we've been meeting with the trustees every quarter. So that is the role of a fund manager, and that is what we do for the scheme. So going into the next slide, where we look at macroeconomic update, a large portion of this, the chairman has alluded in his report. And basically, we start with GDP growth. GDP growth has been at about 4.8% as at 2022. And again, the key highlight from that is that we have seen a recovery from the COVID periods, where GDP growth was negative. So right now, we expect GDP growth for the year 2023 to be more or less the same at about 5%, thereabouts. So a recovery that we've seen compared to COVID years. If we go to the next slide, where we look at inflation, members, inflation in Kenya for the last 4 or 5 years was stable at about 5%. But in the year 2022, we started seeing inflation going up, and inflation has hit in 2023 levels of about 9%. And that is because generally, the price of food has gone up. We all know the price of, food stuff like unga started going up last year. We've all seen what the price of fuel has been, it's been trending upwards. And all these have contributed to inflation going up. So inflation, if you compare inflation in 2022 compared to the previous 3 or 4 years, inflation in 2022 generally went upwards. Going into 2023, we still expect inflation to remain at elevated levels, at levels of about 7% thereabouts. If we go to the next slide, and here we update you on currency, what currency has done. From where we sit as investment managers, the trend of currency is quite important in terms of how your investments behave. If you look at that chart, it shows that, currency, our Kenya shilling has really depreciated significantly against the US dollar. Again, many of you might know, for the last 3 or 4 years or so, our shilling against the dollar was at about 100 shillings against the US dollar if you were to buy US dollars. Right now, as we speak, the currency has depreciated to levels of about 140 against the US dollar. And, this has affected your investments in a number of ways. And key among them is, if you look at fixed income, what you are calling, the interest-bearing securities. Interest rates have really gone up significantly. What the central bank does that in times of currency distress, like what we are seeing at the moment, as a way of trying to, manage the currency and stabilize the currency, what the central bank does is that they increase interest rates for securities like treasury bonds, what have you, with the whole intention of trying to make our treasury bonds attractive to foreign investors. The end game of that is to have foreign investors invest in Kenya and bring in dollars. So that's what they normally do in times of turbulence like what we are seeing, and we've seen interest rates go up. In addition, we also had a dollar liquidity problem last year, and it was well publicized, even in the media. And I think we all know that getting access to dollars last year was quite hard. What that did is that it made many foreign investors shy away from investing in the Kenyan market. And the reason was that there was fear and panic from foreign investors that if they were to put money in Kenya, they would struggle getting that money out. Because for them to get the money out from Kenya, they would have to do it in US dollars. So as we explain about the investment environment in 2022, we'll acknowledge that it was quite a challenging time, especially given the fact that it was hard to get dollars in the Kenyan market last year. So the next slide, it's more or less of a confirmation of what I mentioned. This is a chart that shows the trend of interest rates. It's the trend of the one-year treasury bill. And I think the main message from this chart, members, is that interest rates went up last year. So that was the trend, last year in 2022. If you look at the next slide, and here we look at performance of treasury bonds at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Again, just to remind you, your scheme is a big investor in treasury bonds. So that was the performance of treasury bonds. For the year 2022, the performance was 7.8%. This is the performance for treasury bonds at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And whatever your scheme had invested in treasury bonds more or less mirrored that return. If you look at the next page, equities. So members, again, just to remind you, equities is generally investments in the stock market. Shares like KenGen, Safaricom, KCB. And we normally see a lot of volatility in how stocks perform. For the year that ended in 2022, the stock market did not fare very well. If you look at the blue bar chart, for the year that ended in 2022, the return from the stock market was minus 23.4%. And, thank you. That was the return from the stock market, minus 23%. And just to remind members, the reason as to why the stock market didn't do well, one was because of what I mentioned, the fact that foreigners were pulling away, foreign investors were pulling away from the Kenyan stock market. Foreigners are quite critical investors in our stock market. If you look at their trading statistics at the stock market, their level of participation is about 70%. 70% of the trades done at the Nairobi Securities Exchange are by foreign investors. So with them pulling away from the Kenyan market, it led to significant supply of shares. And with that, we saw the stock market decline during that period. In addition, we also had the Russia-Ukraine war last year. It still affected how our stock market did. So the stock market did do well. This year in 2023, as an update, we're also seeing a bit of struggle from the stock market as well. Has continued to do poorly, and again, it's largely because of the fact that our currency situation has not been sorted out. If you look at the next slide, offshore. Offshore is what has done well in 2023, but in 2022, again, it struggled because of issues like the Russia-Ukraine war. So as I sum up on the investment environment in 2022, it was a harsh investment environment. Most of the asset classes that the scheme could invest in did not do well. Equities did do well. Offshore did not do well. The only asset class that performed, that had a positive return was, fixed income. It had a positive return, but it was quite a moderate return. So it was a harsh economic environment. If we go to the next section of the report, we look at how your scheme was invested. I'm hoping that is legible, but generally, if you look at the blue bar graph, that shows how the scheme was invested as at the end of 2022. About 0.6% of your fund, this is the DB fund, was invested in cash. 9.1% was invested in equities. 32.7% was invested in government bonds. 4.3% was invested in deposits. 1% was invested in offshore, and 52% was invested in property. So members of the DB scheme, so the largest investments in the fund were in property, 52%, followed by government bonds at 32.7%. So that is how your scheme was invested as at the close of 2022. If we go to the next slide, which will be the last slide, and here we talk about our outlook for 2023. So we, in our view, the economic environment continues to be challenging, following up to 2022. But our view is that we expect to have a better year compared to 2022 in 2023. And the reasons for that are, one, an asset class like offshore has turned around, and offshore is doing well. And number two, as I mentioned, interest rates have edged upwards. Any new money that is coming into the scheme is being invested at higher interest rates, compared to last year. But nonetheless, we expect harsh economic environment. It is likely that the return for the scheme from all projections, now that we are halfway through the year, will be in the single-digit numbers, in the region of about 5%, thereabout, but a positive number for the year in 2023. So I think the bottom line, as we talk about the outlook, is that we expect to have a harsh economic environment, but together with the Board of Trustees, we have tried to mitigate, the current economic development by making sure that, the scheme invests in assets that have a high likelihood of generating a positive return. So we are reviewing strategies together with the board to make sure that the scheme comes out well during this environment. With that, I'll end the presentations, and we'll take your questions at the Q&A stage. Thank you.
Great. Can you hear me? Thank you, Chairman. The trustees, members here, pensioners, also here and online, my fellow service providers, my regulator RBA, good morning. My name is Eva Mwangi from NCBA Bank. We are the custodian for your pension fund, for the DB scheme. Okay, yeah. I just have one slide that will give a summary of what our role is as your custodian to the pension fund. I'll give a breakdown of the assets that we're holding at the end of this financial year, being 31st December 2022. And because we are handling money, I'll give a breakdown of what mitigation we put in place to ensure your safety of your assets, and then finally a confirmation. To the next slide. So our role as a custodian, first and foremost, once your fund manager has done their research, decided what investments they want to invest on your behalf, they'll give us instructions. If it's a purchase, our responsibility is to ensure that that asset is procured, registered in the scheme's name, and if it's a sale, proceeds from that sale is received, credited into your scheme account so that your fund manager can reinvest it. So in summary, our role is to ensure that is done in a safe and efficient manner. We also provide safekeeping of all your assets, and this is not limited to all the equities. Either it's listed in the stock exchange or unlisted. We do have those in our safekeeping. We also keep all your government securities. Those are your treasury bills and bonds. Corporate bonds are in our safekeeping, deposits, offshore investments, and because your scheme owns property, we also have your title deeds, your title documents in our safekeeping. As a custodian, we also do what you call asset servicing, and generally meaning that we keep track of all income or revenue that's due to your scheme. So for example, for your bond holdings, we keep track of all your coupon payments and ensure on the payment date, we've collected that money from central bank and credited into the scheme account. And because you also have shares listed in the stock exchange, we keep track of any dividends that are due through a corporate actions diary that we maintain. And on due date, we'll follow up through with the various registrars to receive that income and credit it into your scheme account so that your fund manager can reinvest it for you. We also assist the trustees by ensuring that all contributions that have been debited from your various payslips have been received as stipulated by the regulator. We also do report to your board of trustees. We do this on a quarterly basis where they will interrogate all the transactions that we've processed, and we also give a breakdown of all the assets that we're holding. We do report to your fund managers on a day-to-day basis, so they are kept aware of any monies that are available for them to make any investment decisions. And to your regulator, we also do submit returns on a quarterly basis to ensure compliance. And finally, because one day you'll retire or you leave KenGen, we'll be given instructions to make your payments to yourselves. And if there are any scheme expenses, we also do process those payments and pay them to the relevant parties. Going to the asset breakdown, what we were holding as at 31st December 2022, those are the assets that were in our safe custody. We did have term and demand deposits valued at 360 million shillings, offshore investments at 85 million shillings, your quoted equities, those are your shares listed in the stock exchange, valued at 751.6 million, your treasury bonds valued at 2.7 billion shillings, corporate bonds at 34.3 million, investment property was valued at 4.3, being the largest investment asset class that you're holding, and there was a cash balance there of 50 million, 434 million, giving a total fund value of 8 billion shillings, 300 million, 294. Now, because we are holding money and because we're dealing with money, there are risks. How do we mitigate against those risks? I want to confirm to the membership that anybody that gives us instructions, we have clear signing mandates with them. We have that in place with your board of trustees. We do have that in place with the fund managers. that give us instructions, and also from your secretariat. We do have a very clear service level agreement that set forth how we handle your monies or your investments. We do have proper safe custody facilities, including systems to ensure proper safekeeping of your assets. There's clear segregation when you're processing your investments, and this is brought down to our policies and procedures as well as system configuration. Really, in a nutshell, there's a maker-checker process. There's always, not one person can handle a transaction end-to-end. There's somebody who's checking to make sure that is done properly. Your assets are registered in our nominee name. So in the unlikely event something happens to NCBA Bank, your assets are held separately and they're safe. They're not commingled in the bank's balance sheet, neither are they commingled with any other assets that we're holding for any other clients. We do have in place insurance and indemnity cover in the unlikely event there's any negligence. And also because of the sensitivity of investments, which are time-bound, there's a clear disaster recovery and backup system in place to ensure that if something happens where we're currently processing instructions, within an hour or two, we can continue processing instructions received from your fund managers. So finally, members, I want to confirm to all of you that all income that was earned during the financial year was collected on time. All your investments were laid down according to laid down regulations, were executed according to your within the laid down regulations, that your investments were processed according to your fund manager's instructions, and that your investments are safe with us. Thank you for listening to me. I hand the meeting back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. President's second poll question, and I'll ask IT to project the same. Thank you, Chair. The last year we focused majorly on financial literacy for our members. The question to our members is how we majorly focusing on their financial planning. We were asking them, how do you plan for your retirement? Or which of the below retirement planning process have you taken to financially prepare for retirement? One of them being clearing your debt before retirement. Number two being getting a medical cover for retirement. Number three being investing in cash asset rather than fixed asset. And number three, creating a retirement budget. Chair, this is just focusing on the financial literacy we did last year. How well do they plan for the retirement? Do they plan by first clearing their debts? Two, by getting a medical cover for retirement? Three, by investing in cash assets than fixed asset, which we call properties, or creating a retirement budget? Chair, I think this will also be able to give us the outcome of what the retirement planning we did with the members last year and the education. I'll ask IT to project the results. Interesting. Members would first wish to clear their debt. 57% of the members think that's the best way to retire. First, clear your debts before you retire. Number two, majorly, is investing in cash asset rather than fixed asset. They understand that fixed asset takes long to liquidate, so they would prefer to invest in more cash asset. Number three is creating a retirement budget, knowing very well that you now be on your own at retirement, and which some of the time we think it's not an easy burden. It's getting a medical cover for retirement. Chair, whereas these are members most of these active members are the members, active members who has not retired. I can assure you for the retiree members, medical scheme becomes the biggest as compared to any other. So as we go forward to financial literacy, we'll also see how well we can be able even to let members understand about the medical cover. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Josephat. Kelvin Kailikia, representing PricewaterhouseCoopers, to present the audited accounts, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Trustees, members, fellow service providers. My name is Kelvin Kailikia, representing PwC, who are your auditors. To confirm that we've audited the financial statements in front of you, which are included in the annual report and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2022. And we gave a clean opinion on the 27th of March 2023. I read our opinion as appears on the annual report and financial statements. So we have audited the accompanying financial statements of KenGen Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, which comprise a statement of net assets available for benefits at 31st December 2022, and the statements of changes in net assets available for benefits and cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statements, which include significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the scheme as of 31st December 2022 and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Retirement Benefits Act. Thank you, Chair.
Ladies, gentlemen, trustees, I propose at this point that the annual report and financial statements for the year ending 31st December 2022 be taken as read. Then I move to the minimum agenda. I now wish to take you through the following minimum agenda items as stipulated in the Retirement Benefits Act. During the year, the meeting held for the full board and committees were as follows. We had 7 board meetings. Administration and Communication Committee had 5 meetings. Audit and Risk Management Committee had 5. Investment and Strategy Committee had 7. The trustees' remunerations is disclosed in the financial report, page 64. Currently, the scheme pays a sitting allowance of 28,000 to the board chairman and 24,500 to board members, all net of taxes. Due to the prevailing bearish economic conditions, the board does not envisage an upward review of the trustees' remunerations. However, the Board of Trustees looks forward to aligning the same with the trustees' remuneration policy as gazetted by RBA. I would like to also confirm that there was no changes in the benefit structure and contribution rates during the year under review. I now welcome John Mully from RBA to present the regulator's remarks. John, please come.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and the trustees here, the members, the service providers here, and also the auditor for gracing this occasion. My name is Seth Odhiambo. I work for the Supervision Department of the Retirement Benefits Authority. Thank you. I think for me, I'll take a brief, I'll just take us through the brief introduction of what RBA does, because a lot of things have actually been said by the service providers who have taken us into details on what RBA is, what is supposed to be done in a retirement benefit scheme. RBA has 5 major roles that have been outlined in the RBA Act. Just for our information, RBA is a state corporation that is incorporated through an act of parliament called the Retirement Benefits Act of 1997. And it has 4 mandates that is given unto it that it has to perform. One of them is to regulate the establishment of and the management of the retirement benefits sector. In this case, we register the pension scheme. We also license the service providers. Of course, also liaise with the ISPAC in terms of the auditors of the pension schemes. We also ensure that the funds that are in the scheme are well managed, and the service providers, of course, and the trustees report to us on a regular basis on how they manage the funds. Secondly, we do protect the interest of members and also the sponsors. In this case, the sponsor is KenGen, and the members are you who are the stakeholders of the scheme. In performing this particular duty, we first ensure that the funds are invested well with the members' interests at heart. Of course, we have issued even the investment guidelines, which they must be followed in terms of investment of these funds. We also usually receive complaints where members are dissatisfied with how the scheme is managed. Then in that case, they will be required to submit their complaints to us. Then we'll be able to investigate and also follow up with the trustees and also the service providers to ensure that their grievances are addressed. The third role that we have is to promote the development of the industry. When we started, I think I'll take us through the industry statistics. You will see that this is an industry that grew from somewhere 40 billion in the year 2000. And if you were to see where we are headed to, we are projecting a 2.4 trillion industry, at least by June next year. So the growth of this industry is multifaceted, where you will find that there are members who are coming in, and there are also products that are being developed that help in terms of increasing the membership. There are also some auxiliary products like the post-retirement medical fund, and at some point we had the mortgage, which I'll take us through the reason why it is not working. It is not there. So we try to develop the industry so that it becomes attractive to the public and also employers. Our fourth role is to advise the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, on policies that relate to this particular industry. We normally do a lot of researches in this area where we collaborate with some of the major universities to come up with the researches that can help us come up with the good policies that would spur growth within this particular industry, and also maybe develop some of the products that would be of benefit to the industry. In this case, also we collaborate with the international other regulators internationally, so that we can be able to borrow best practices that are practiced elsewhere, so for implementation in Kenya. Then lastly, we do implement all government policies relating to this particular industry. And in this era, we have the NSSF Act, which is being implemented currently, and RBA is pivotal in terms of approval of schemes and also sponsors who opt to contract out the Tier 2 funds. My next slide will be the industry statistics, and this is where I was saying that this is an industry that has grown over the years. At its formative stages, it used to grow a bit rapid, but as it matures up, you realize that now the growth slows down. In 2000, it was at 40 billion. Then 10 years later, it went to 440 billion. 10 years later, it went to 1.57 trillion. We are targeting a 2.4 trillion by June next year. But of course, with the help of us, we'll be able to achieve this target. The schemes that are currently licensed by RBA are standing at 1070, and we believe that we will be able to have more schemes that can cover all the other areas that, all the other people who are not yet captured within the system. We have trained over 6,000 trustees who are already licensed and are performing the duties of trusteeship. As at 2021, we had a coverage of 22%. We have not put there the data for last year, which is standing at 25%, and we are seeking to grow this to 30% at least by June next year. Of course, I believe we'll be able to achieve this with the help of the service providers and ourselves. I wanted to take us through the recent regulatory updates, and the recent here does not mean that they must be in the Finance Act of 2023 only. We are still looking at some of the changes that we've done over the years from around 2018 all the way to date. In 2018, there was an introduction of the Post-Retirement Medical Fund, and I believe the scheme here must have amended the scheme rules to incorporate this, where members are allowed to put aside 10% of their accrued benefits for purposes of post-retirement medical. This is available for people who are probably nearing retirement and they are not having enough time to accumulate resources for this particular purpose. For the younger, you are actually expected to do an additional voluntary contribution for this particular fund so that you can be able to purchase a medical premium, or you can actually offset your medical expenses from the fund. And remember, the fund is equally invested just like any other fund within the scheme, and therefore it's not only the contributions that you will have made into the fund that will be there, it will be growing with the investment returns. In 2018-19, again, we introduced the sanctions to the contributions returns that are supposed to be submitted to RBA. This is just to increase the compliance aspect. I had indicated here that the mortgage regulations that were introduced in 2021, it was a very noble idea that would have helped members to acquire housing. And this came out of a research that was done by us, where we noted that many of the retirees actually go home when they do not have even houses in the village. You will find a number of us having houses in town, but when now we retire, we want to go to the village, or you want to go to the nearby town that is next to your home, but you don't have a house. So they will take part of their money to try and build a house. At the end of the day, they don't complete it and they do not have any other funds to survive on. So it was thought-wise that if you can take 40% of your accrued benefits to purchase a house that you can live in when you retire, then it would be helpful to the membership. But this was quashed by the court ruling that was done in November 2022, basically because of public participation, which the authority is likely to revive this, so that the idea still moves on as it was envisaged. In 2021, there was an introduction of appointment of KRA as an agent, so that they can be able to, the trustees can be able to appoint KRA to collect any unremitted contributions on their behalf. This will be done with the approval of RBA, so that they cannot just go direct to KRA without getting approval from RBA. The preservation rule was equally amended. Initially, members would access 100% own contribution and also 50% employer's contribution. This was amended to 50% accrued benefits, where the employee is moving out of employment, maybe to another employer, or they have decided to exit a service, but they have not attained the age of 50. Please note that for the additional voluntary contributions, if you had such, then 100% of them you'd be able to withdraw in such a circumstance. In the Finance Act 2023, which is currently suspended, when it is implemented, there was an introduction of a relief if you are contributing to a post-retirement medical fund, where 15% of that contribution would be taken as a relief, up to a maximum of 60,000 per year. I think this was just to introduce, to spur or maybe to allow members to accumulate funds within this particular fund so that they can be able to access medical services when they retire. In the year 2022, there were amendments that were done to some of the regulations. This was just to introduce the net rate of return that is declared in a particular year, where members' benefit statement would at least be showing what is the net rate of return that has been declared in that particular year. The same should be disclosed in the financial statements or the annual financial statements, and also during an AGM like this, the members should be told what was the net rate of return that was declared in a particular year. It's just a disclosure purpose, for disclosure purposes, so that members are aware and they can actually trace this into their the member statements. We have some 3 upcoming regulations which are underway, and they are almost their conclusion. One of them is the corporate trustee regulations, where a scheme is being governed by corporate trustees. Then these corporate trustees must be governed in a particular way. So there are regulations that have been developed for the same, so that they can also be governed in any other way that we do for the other service providers. We also have post-retirement medical funds that are standalone. They are not attached to any particular scheme. So you will find that the same service providers are establishing post-retirement medical funds that are off the scheme. So where members are contributing to these post-retirement medical funds, initially they will not be governed. So they may act like pyramid schemes. At some point, we didn't know under who do they fall, but since they are geared towards the same purpose of looking after the retirees, we believed that RBA would be in a better position to regulate such funds and ensure that when a member contributes to these particular funds, then the funds must be well protected and invested well, so that when they reach that level of access, then they can access their medical services in a particular way. So there are regulations that are being developed on this area, so that we find a way of managing and also supervising these particular funds. Income drawdown, I believe this for the DC, there is already income drawdown, and there are regulations in this particular product so that they can equally be monitored on how they are being operated. That will be the end of my presentation, and where there will be questions relating to us, then we'll be able to answer them accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. We appreciate your presentation. Now, Linus Samara Actuary, can you give us your report so that we can be reassured where we are?
Good afternoon, members. My name is Linus Mahulo. I work for a firm known as Zamara. Zamara are the actuaries to your scheme. And I'll be brief in terms of my presentation. A lot of the things that I would have talked about have already been covered. So I'll just talk briefly in terms of what do we do for yourselves. I'll talk about your scheme and contributions, and then other aspects which are, like I've said, have already been covered by other previous presenters. So moving on to the role of the actuary, what do we do for yourselves? What we do is that we carry out what are known as actuarial evaluations for your scheme. I think the presentation is a bit ahead in terms of where we need, yes. So we carry out actuarial evaluations for your scheme. By law, an actuarial evaluation is required to be carried out once every 3 years. So the last one we did was as at 31st December 2020, meaning that this next one is due at the end of this year. What does an actuarial evaluation do? It basically checks and confirms that your scheme has sufficient assets to meet its liabilities. In other words, we look at the assets that you have, the payments that have been promised to members, and we compare the two and make sure that the scheme has sufficient money or assets to pay out those benefits. Another role that we also play, we help advise on the investment strategy, how the investments of your scheme are supposed to be carried out. We also look at benefit calculations when a member is getting to retire, when a member is leaving, we also advise on that. And then we also provide other miscellaneous advice, such as awarding of pension increases if those are due to members. So next slide, please. So in terms of the scheme benefits, your scheme is run on what is known as a defined benefits basis. Defined benefits basis basically means it's a formula that is used to compute your benefits when you get to retire. And the formula takes into account your service, takes into account your salary, and then it's multiplied by what is known as accrual factor. So there are two accrual factors. One is for service before 31st December 1999, where you get 3% of your salary, and the other one after 1st of January 2000, where you get 2%. So that is how the formula is applied to your various periods of service, and then you get that as a benefit. Next slide, please. So on top of that, that is how your pension is calculated. You're also allowed to get 1/3 of your benefits as cash, so you can take 1/3 as cash, and then in addition, there's an element for the service before 1st of January 2000, where members get guaranteed pension increases at 3% per annum. Apart from that, in terms of retirement benefits, you're also allowed other benefits if you leave, that is if you retire or resign. Sorry, if you resign, also benefits on ill health, and if you leave on early retirement as well. And if you unfortunately pass on, again, your dependents will be provided benefits as well. Next slide, please. In terms of contributions, members contribute at 10% of their salaries, and the sponsor pays what is called the balance of the cost, basically tops up the members' contributions to ensure that, that you get your benefits as a member. If you remember also during the chair's speech, he talked about the actuarial deficit. So on top of those regular contributions, the sponsor also makes additional contributions to cover any deficit that there could be in the scheme. Next slide. So in terms of membership, the membership that I'm showing there is as at 31st December 2020. The membership has changed. So this is when we last did the actuarial evaluation. If you look into your booklets that have been provided, we have statistics as at 2022. So the membership has generally changed in terms of the active members have reduced and the pensioners have increased, but that was how it looked like in 2020. But because it's a closed fund, we expect active members to keep on reducing as we move on. In terms of scheme assets, those have been talked about by the fund manager, and he has taken us through the various breakdown, and this is just simply just showing the same. So I've talked about the purpose of the actuarial evaluation, and what we are supposed to do, and it's a regulatory requirement to have it done once every 3 years, and to advise the sponsor if there is a deficit on what they need to do. So we use an actuarial basis to come up with the valuation. And what we're doing is we're looking long-term, because the liabilities of the scheme are long-term, but the basis we've used is what we use for other similar schemes in Kenya at the moment. Next slide. So yes, the last one was done 31st December 2020. The next one is due 31st December 2023. So at the next AGM, I think you will have the results of that valuation that will be carried out as at the end of this year. In terms of the valuation, the results are also contained in the information that has been provided to you members, but we had total liabilities of 9.9 billion shillings. Sorry, if you can just go back to the previous slide. Yeah, 9.9 billion shillings. Total assets as of 31st December 2020 was 7.7 billion. Therefore, there was a deficit of 2.4 billion in terms of the actuarial valuation we carried out. A funding level, basically the assets divided by liabilities of about 76%. And for this, your sponsor has been making additional funding to cover the deficit. And the chair said that so far, they've paid about 54% thereabout to cover that deficit. And the anticipation is that come June next year, the deficit will have been covered, but the results of the next actuarial evaluation will show the progress that has been made so far. Next slide, please. So we do benefit calculations just when a member is leaving or when a member is unfortunately has passed on, and we're advising the scheme that the benefits that have been done have been computed correctly, taking into account all the elements that go into the formula, and we then advise you as a member how much, or we advise the Secretariat how much should be paid. Next slide. In terms of market highlights, I don't want to talk much about the market highlights. The fund manager touched on this. He talked about the rates of inflation. I think that we all know inflation has been rising, and the rate up to April was at about 7.9%. He also talked about inflation in the other markets. Again, I don't want to get into that. Next slide, please. We've looked at the depreciation of the Kenyan shilling. You've seen the levels it has depreciated thus far. We've seen what has been happening globally because of the war in Ukraine in terms of the other markets going on, which the fund manager covered in quite some detail. So I won't repeat that. If I could just go. We've seen the raising of the interest rates, of how the interest rates have been rising locally, and we've also seen in terms of the interbank rates, again, those have been increasing going forward. And also in terms of the equity markets, we've seen the turbulence that has happened in the equity markets and how those have been depressed, especially because of the foreigners leaving, and also there've been also similar impacts on the global markets because of what has been happening abroad. Next slide. So what I would just say in terms of my own comment, in terms of just the market and what has been happening in the market, that come the next actuarial evaluation, we expect that we will see an impact of what has been happening in the market in terms of the results that we will be carrying out as of 31st December 2023. The deficit was expected to have been reduced significantly, but because of some of this impact, it will not have reduced as much as had been projected. So that is what I would expect come the end of this year. So thank you, members.
Thank you, Lennis. That was very crystal clear. Now, we have a sponsor for this scheme, and his representative is going to speak to us now. Austin?
Chairman, trustees, esteemed members of the scheme, Hamjamboni. Hamjamboni tena. I'm here to read the speech on behalf of the acting MD, Mr. Abraham Serem, who would have really wanted to be here, but he's caught up in other official engagements out of the country, but he's sent me to convey his greetings and read the speech on his behalf. So members, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the Defined Benefit and Defined Contribution Scheme Annual General Meeting here in Mombasa. To our virtual participants, your presence is equally cherished and appreciated. I'm happy to note that you took time to join despite not being here physically. Today is yet another day when we get to celebrate the milestones we have covered as we continue to safeguard our employees' welfare long after retirement. To this end, I'm delighted to confirm that both schemes are in a robust financial position thanks to our prudent management and strategic vision. To members, we have some good news to report today. We have obtained a license from the Retirement Benefits Authority to launch the Income Drawdown Scheme, a milestone that will empower us to administer the retirement benefits internally without relying on external insurance firms. This achievement has surpassed all expectations, reinforcing our commitment to innovation and progress. As the adage goes, you should not put all your eggs in one basket. In the face of market uncertainties, we have wisely diversified our investments, shielding the scheme from adverse effects. While global shocks and inflation posed challenges, our 2022 annual report attests to the enduring stability and security of the schemes, ensuring a comfortable retirement for you and your beneficiaries. Members, KenGen remains the market leader in generation of clean energy, and the company posted good results for the fiscal year ending 30th June 2022. Our financial stability enabled the company to fulfill its commitment to members by releasing pension deductions to the schemes amounting to Kenya shillings 37.5 million to the DB scheme and Kenya shillings 1.5 billion to the DC scheme. Further, Kenya shillings 787 million of deficit funding was paid in our efforts to achieve full funding for the DB scheme. This facilitated benefits payment for DB schemes 109 members and DC schemes 94 members who exited employment. During the year and beyond, the Secretariat has carried out extensive member education sessions across all stations. Pensioners were also not left behind, with education forums taken to towns near them, while YGeners were not left behind, with education YGeners were engaged in the format they relate to best, virtually. I urge you to actively participate in these enlightening sessions, understanding the inner workings of your pension scheme and exercising your right to nominate beneficiaries. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the board for their visionary leadership, guiding the scheme with remarkable progress under the 10-year strategic plan. I note that sound governance and financial skills were rewarded through the various awards received during the year. I take this opportunity to congratulate you and to thank the exiting board members, Mr. Joseph Sitati, Mrs. Rebecca Miano, and Abraham Serem, for their invaluable contribution to the scheme. With the same zeal, I welcome the new board members and wish them nothing but success. Colleagues, KenGen has invested in innovation, and this year we will harness cutting technologies in rehabilitating our oldest geothermal plant, Olkaria 1, boosting its generation capacity to 63 megawatts from 45 megawatts. This will also include upgrading Olkaria 1, additional units 4 and 5, and Olkaria 4 from the current combined 300 megawatts to 340 megawatts, further solidifying our position in the clean energy landscape. Further, our diversification agenda to other revenue schemes are underway, with the geothermal steam sales, consultancy, drilling, the geothermal spa, and a planned industrial park in the pipeline. I urge everyone to diligently play their part in delivering our clean energy agenda. Your small acts are what makes us great. Finally, as we transition to the new HR instruments, I beseech you all to stay agile, act now, do the right thing, right, all the time. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki, Mungu awabariki KenGen. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. We are assured the sponsor is still in business. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're coming close to the end. Kindly allow us to start by taking questions from those who are physically present, then moving on to those ones who are coming online. I request those asking questions to state their full names after raising the question so that we can identify with them. Please, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. It's afternoon. My name is Richard Chair from Kipevu. And my question is, what are the fund managers doing to hedge our investments, in that we are seeing inflation is rising, the war is still on, and our currency is devaluing. So what is the fund, or what are the fund managers doing to at least to hedge our investments against the inflation?
Thank you, Richard. I think we should get more questions, then we'll respond. Other questions?
Asante sana. Mimi naitwa Peter Molo. Na kwanza nimshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kuwa tumefika hapa salama wa salimini. Kuwashukuru pia nyinyi ambao ni viongozi mko hapo mbele. Na pia hasa shukurani zangu za dhati ni kwa wazee ambao wamefanya hiki kikao kimekuwa hapa. Maana kama sio hao wazee hiki kikao kisingelikuwa hapa. Yangu ni maoni. Japokuwa mkuu mmesema maswali, yangu ni maoni. Sijui kama maoni yanakubalika, bwana mwenyekiti.
Imekubalika, Peter.
Asante. Kwanza tuliona wasanii hapa wakifanya usanaa wao hapo, wakicheza cheza, lakini wengi hatukuyatia maanani yale maneno walikuwa akiyasema. Mimi nayaona na imebidi nitoe maoni. Ukisha staafu tu, wale ulikuwa nao pale kazini, wengi wanaanza kukutenga. Wengi wanaanza kukutenga. Sasa kwa hiyo, nyinyi ambao mjastaafu, vile umesikia wale wasanii wakisema, ni kuwa mwanze kufanya urafiki na wale watu ambao wako nje. Manake hawa ambao mwafanya nao, ukija mkistaafu, wataanza kuwatenga. Na mfano mzuri ni kama kwenye sako yetu. Hivi sasa sisi ambao tumestaafu haturuhusi kuchukua zaidi ya milioni 2. Washaanza kututenga. Unaambiwa mpaka weke collateral. Maoni yangu ya pili, hiyo ilikuwa ni by the way. Ya pili ni kuhusu mambo ya medical cover. Unajua saa nyingine watu wakistaafu wanakuwa wanapewa medical cover, ama wamepewa medical cover wewe na mke wako. Lakini pengine una watoto, sio wajukuu, watoto. Manake wazee saa nyingine wanachukua vishungwa. Si urongo, alafu unakuwa una watoto. Maoni yangu bwana ni kuwa pia hiyo board ambayo imekaa hapo pamoja na management iongee na insurance. Ikiwa mtu atakuwa na watoto ambao bado ni underage, watie manani pia katika masuala ya medical cover, kwa sababu wewe huwezi kuwa waenda na spouse wako Aga Khan ama hospitali nyingine, lakini wale watoto wadogo unawachukua unawapeleka hospitali ya nini ya public. Hao ni maoni yangu. Asanteni.
Asante Peter.
Assalamu alaikum. Mimi ni mtu wa Mombasa na nazungumza Kiswahili. Ninaomba chairman, wakati mwingine kama mnakuja hapa Mombasa kufanya mkutano, ongeeni Kiswahili watu wote wasikie. Manake sisi wengine tulipata kazi bahati nzuri, lakini tulikuwa wachungaji mashambani. Hatuelewi Kizungu. Sasa mengine mmezungumza hapa, lakini sisi wengine, na si mimi peke yangu, tuko wengi hapa. Otherwise siwezi kuzungumza mambo mengine ambayo mlikuwa mnazungumza hapo mkatoa majibu, siwezi kujua. Jambo la kwanza hilo. La pili, nimeshukuru kwa sababu ya mkutano ambao mmemleta hapa Mombasa. tunashukuru. Tulikuwa tunatabika sana kwenda Nairobi sisi. Tunalala juu, usingizi hatupati, alafu tunarudi hapa tuna shida, lakini vile mmefanya mkutano Mombasa mkogawanya kila mahali huko, tumeshukuru sana watu Mombasa. Tena tulikuwa tunashukuru mara nyingi sana. Na vile tulikuwa hatujui kama pesa zetu zinaenda vipi. Manake wakati pesa ziliibwa kule, sisi tulikuwa hatujui kama pesa zetu zinaenda wapi. Hizo pesa tulikuwa tunatamani angaa sisi ambao tunamaliza kufa tuongezwe mshahara kila mwaka. Sasa hizo pesa mshahara, tumepewa mshahara mdogo sana. Tunamtafuta Nyadome tumwambie atutetee hii shida tuko nayo. Napata shilingi 15,000 na mimi niko na familia wadogo na watoto wangu niko hapo, mimi naenda hospitali ile ya serikali kule na watoto wangu sina wa kuwasaidia. Sasa nilikuwa naomba angalau kila mwisho wa mwaka tupate angaa 3% kale kama mshahara ketu kasongeze kidogo. Kuliko kwa sasa zinakaa kule mpaka mwisho wake zinaibwa na wale watu wakubwa zaenda hizo pesa na mnasema ni zetu. Kila mwaka mnatuambia tu kuna pesa. Poleni kama nimewakosea, lakini naomba hilo maombi yangu.
Thank you, sir.
Naitwa Suleiman Alfan Ramenza. 2598 namba yangu.
Thank you, Solomon.
Kwa majina anaitwa Peter Kariuki. Kwa jina ingine watu wa Pwani wananiita Dorobo au mwenda mbio. Swali yangu ni hili. Hapo mbeleni mmoja wetu kwa bahati mbaya ametuacha. Familia ilikuwa inalipo mara moja. Lakini hivi sasa tumeona inachukua miezi, karibu miezi 6, 4, 5 na hatujui vipi. Na hiyo maneno yote nafikiri ni nyinyi board, Mr. Nadome ukiwa mbele. Nadome unajua ni jirani yangu, yeye natoka Samburu, mimi natoka Laikipia. Lakini mimi ni mkaaji wa Mombasa. Nashukuru sana watu wa Pwani, mlinipa kazi na mkanipa bibi na mkanipa nyumba. Thank you very much. Mbarikiwe sana.
Thank you, Peter. I think I'll respond to the questions now so that we redeem some time. I think inflation, the first question, to hedge against it, it's a bit dependent on how you do the investment. The policies we have for the scheme try and do that, because the way it's laid out, as you saw from the presentation, you have investments in real estate, which almost give you a steady income. I'm told real estate gives you about 7% annually. Our inflation is over 9%, so it doesn't cover that. The other big investment is in bonds, which is at present, I think, giving something over 12%. So between that, the inflation at 9 and our big investment in real estate at 7, if you do a weighted average, you probably will go square about that and not have a gain or a loss. But I don't know if I should actually have the fund investments who advise on this to talk about this. But basically, it's something that is a running target. Inflation cannot be, you try to hedge by the kind of investments you have, so that if one drops, one goes up. If one goes out of hand, the other one might rise up. It's just like the Nairobi Stock Exchange right now. It's quite low because of the exit of the foreign investors. But then if you have bought a lot of shares at this point and maybe a year or two from now they go up, you might recover the losses you've made. So the attempt by the trustees and the management is to try and have a profile of investments that balance out. One goes up, one goes down, and then you have a neutral phase of it. But the certainty of having it totally hedged is very difficult to manage in any setting. And then, of course, Peter, thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate the challenges that we as a people face when we retire. We'll, try and explore the possibilities of getting maybe medical covers that go beyond just the spouses. But that is something that is done by another industry, and we are just small players in this particular industry. Salim, asante sana kwa swali yako, lakini tunaweza tukajaribu pengine mwaka ingine tufanye reports na communications kwa Kiswahili pia. Tujipange kwa Kiswahili ndio tukuje na reports. Tunafanya report inasumuza na wewe karibu na lugha unafahamu vilivyo. Lakini kwa leo tukulijipanga kwa Kizungu na tutamaliza kwa Kizungu. Pengine tutajaribu kutafsiri kidogo kidogo, lakini mipango ilikuwa kwa Kiingereza. Lakini pole kwenda mbele, pengine matrustees mkijipanga, muende Swahili lessons, mfanye reports ya Kiswahili pia, tufanye distribution, vile tunafanya constitution in Swahili and English, tufanye reports zetu namna hiyo. Lakini hiyo ni ya mwakani pengine. And Peter Karaoke, thank you very much also for your comments. I don't know if we tutapata newsletter ya inform members of developments that will capture this. But I think the key to this is that wakipata habari kujua wenzako, pengine utumie secretariat, ndio ikituma circular around itakuwa distributed in good time, so that people are aware of what is developing in the lives of our colleagues and friends. I don't know if I've covered all that. If there are other remarks, I'll ask Josephat to respond. And after that, we'll go to the online questions.
Chair, thank you very much. There is an issue that was raised by Sospita. Tujaribu tuone vile pia tunaweza kukava watoto. I think is ni relevant, lakini sisi kama trustees tuna encourage sana wakati una retire tuna avoid kuwa na watoto. Ngoja. Unajua ni mzuri Sospita tuseme ukweli. Si ndio? We want to tell our people the truth. If you can, we try as much as possible. When you're in employment, upata watoto ukiwa employment, somesha surely. Pension benefits are not meant ya kwanza kulea watoto wadogo. Unatakana pesa ya pension benefits ni una-enjoy your retirement. Yeah? Lakini instances, kama in a worst case scenario, kuna unique cases ile inafanyika, inabidi, it is understandable. Lakini ikiwezekana, it's just an advice. I'm advising my fellow wenye wako permanent and pensionable. Tujaribu juu chini, tumalize hiyo mzigo tukiwa employment. Asante.
Thank you, Chair. Just one more question. On the medical cover and with, I know if we have that problem, we then need to look for a solution for the medical cover. So we'll speak with the insurance companies to see if they can be able to accommodate the kids. We'll try our level best. There's some who have agreed to accommodate kids below 25, but we'll see how best we can. But as my chair say for DC, tujaribu kidogo wasikue wengi at retirement, even if it's one or two. Chair, on one question from Kariuki, I want to respond. On the death benefits, it might be one case, not all the cases, where there was that delay. And sometimes the delay is due to number of beneficiaries who come to claim your money. So sometimes when you are like your form of confirmation, you have declared one wife, and when upon death 5 comes, you can imagine that we have to take a lot of caution to ensure the trustee fulfill their fiduciary responsibility, they do it right. So sometimes those issues delay a little bit due to that. Chair, if agreeable, I can go through the online question very fast.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Very few, my team has been answering the online question from the members, but I just wanted to pick a number of them. One is from Joseph Obongi, retiree. He's asking about where he can be able to access the financial statement. What I would confirm that our financial statements are on the website, the scheme website. They can be downloaded from there and have all the details of the same as the financial statement that have been provided here. The next question is about from Kennedy Komen. He's asking the process of transferring benefits from the scheme, from another scheme to our scheme. What we can confirm, yes, we have provided to him the email address, that is pensions@kengen.srbs.co.ke, where he'll be able to be helped and he'll be able to get a form for transfer, and we'll also be able to guide him. Another question, Chair, is from Delvis Wandela. He's asking if the AGM giveaway will be given to the physical attendees, and I wish to confirm to him that all the attendees, either virtually or physically, will get the GM giveaway. The next question is from Kennedy Owindi. They're asking about Tier 1 and Tier 2 contributions. That is for NSSF, Chair. And I wish to confirm, yes, Tier 1 contributions, as you have seen it on your payslip, this majority to the permanent and pensionable active members, that is going to NSSF. Tier 2 contribution of 720 at this moment is coming to the scheme, the DC scheme, as the DC scheme is now a contracted scheme, and also employees contracted. The last one is about this question from George Muga, a former trustees of the scheme, and he was here for long. He's asking, are we disposing all our property with our investment, other investment performing that poorly? What I would tell the judge is the regulator is also seated here, expect us to have 30% of our investment in property or below, and we are above that, so we are above the allowable limit. So we have to let go some properties as much as we look for alternative or better investment vehicles. Chair, together with those few questions, the rest of the question has been answered by my team on the online chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephat. Peter, do you have to ask that one? It's the day, but you can send it on the chat. Or do you want to really ask it? Okay, ask. Ask. Please, make it very brief, huh? Because
Yeah, asante bwana mwenyekiti. Kuna uwekezaji, investment. In fact, this is not a question, it is a suggestion. Kuna hii moja inaitwa infrastructure bonds, ambayo hivi sasa hii serikali imeitoa na you can negotiate ili upate returns nzuri. Hebu pia nyinyi kama board kaeni mfikirie hiyo. Hiyo inaitwa infrastructure. Na ya mwisho kabisa, ukiretire, we are retired but not tired. Kwa hiyo yale mambo tulikuwa tukiyafanya bado tunaweza kuyafanya na tukapata watoto. Asanteni.
Thank you, Peter. I'm sure in our profile we have infrastructure bonds. Can I terminate? We have another scheduled meeting after this. So if you can actually file your questions on the chat, Josphat's team and secretariat are going to send you responses. Would that be fine? So at this point then, thank you for your questions. We appreciate your participation in this regard. And now I beg to move that the chairman's annual general meeting report proposal, recommendations and presentations made by the various stakeholders be adopted and form part of this meeting. So I need somebody to propose. I need a name for somebody to propose for us. Peter has put up his hand. The lady has put up her hand. We know Peter's name. Maybe we need your name as a seconder.
My name is Linda Mariwa.
Linda Mariwa, thank you very much. Noted the names, Josphat. Now let me thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this AGM, I take this opportunity to convey my deep appreciation to you as members of the pensioners for always honoring our invitation to the AGM. To our service providers for your constant support to ensure that more members receive only the best in their retirement. And the ever-dedicated secretarial team, and the team here at Kipevu that has hosted us. Thank you all for making all this very possible. And at this point, I'll also ask the Treasury's Trustee Secretary to give us the third poll.
Thank you, Chair. We'll do it first. It's the last poll. I'll ask the ICT team to project the last poll for the DB scheme. Kaidre. Chair, this is a major question on medical expenses, and Chair, I think they seem to be struggling. You can move on. Thank you.
Sorry, we'll have a feedback on that when we get our systems right. So we come to the conclusion of this meeting. There being no other business of which due notice has been given, may I take this opportunity to thank you once again for attending the meeting. Members and our guests, we have now come to the end of a very fruitful AGM. Therefore, declare the meeting officially closed. We shall now take a short interlude, 10 minutes, and shift gears to the DC AGM, which will be officiated by Ernest Nandemo, Chairman of the DC scheme. We hence request members joining us virtually to remain logged in and enjoy our interesting documentaries during the break, demonstrating our zeal towards comfortable retirement for our members and their beneficiaries. For the senior citizens who have joined us virtually but did not join the internal income draw down for the fund, and are members of DB scheme only, you may opt to join the DC scheme AGM webinar, or you may leave at your own pleasure. For those who are here physically, you may have a cup of tea as the DC scheme AGM is ongoing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May you take your break and come back again for the DC scheme in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Members and stakeholders, I welcome you to the KenGen DC Scheme 2012, a general meeting for the financial year that ended 31st December 2022. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, allow me to convey my gratitude to you who have taken the time to join us both physically and virtually to ensure that the AGM is a success. I'm glad to announce that during the year, we had new members who joined the scheme, thus our membership increased significantly. We welcome you all into our DC scheme family. A quorum. May I now ask the Trust Secretary to advise if we have a requisite quorum.
Thank you, Chair. As at this moment, we do have 137 members attending physically and 528 members attending virtually, and hence I wish to confirm that we have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, TS. A quorum being formed, I declare the meeting to be properly convened and duly constituted. Members, the rules of this meeting. Members, at the tail end of the AGM, we shall have a Q&A session where we shall address our questions and receive your comments and feedback. For members joining virtually, kindly share your questions via the chat mode. For members physically present, we shall pass the microphones around for you to share your questions. Throughout the meeting, we shall engage with you through poll questions, as it was done in the DB AGM. Kindly take the time to share your responses. For the physical attendees, we've printed out the poll questions for your participation. Please fill out the questionnaire and drop it at the usher's desk located at the entrance of the venue. The ushers are available to guide you on the process. You can also channel your follow-up questions and comments through our email on agm@kengenrbs.co.ke. TS, go ahead with the first poll.
Thank you, Chair. The first poll is majorly concentrating on the income drawdown fund that we started recently. This is an opportunity for members to get a monthly income in retirement. So, Chair, the question is, would you want to earn a monthly pension from a scheme through an income drawdown fund or from an external source, that is insurance company? Would you want to earn a monthly income from the scheme through an internal drawdown fund or from an insurance company called annuity, or what called the insurance company majorly the annuity? So there's an answer for income drawdown fund, annuity from insurance company, external income drawdown fund through an insurance company. Chair, I think from the polls which are coming through, it's clear that members have really appreciated what we have come up with. Please, you can project this result, please. Thank you. We can confirm, Chair, that 78% of our members would wish to take the income drawdown fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, TS. Members, to ensure our vision of providing best-in-class service to your members, I do not work alone, but with a team of trustees who have committed themselves to ensure that this vision is a reality. Kindly allow me to introduce them to you. The trustees, once I mention your name, kindly just wave. And I'll start with myself. As I mentioned, I'm the chairman. And now let me do it for the other trustees. There is one of our trustees who is not with us, but is physically not with us, but virtually she is with us. That is Trustee Winnie Petet. I'm sure you can see, if you can see, she's also a director serving in the sponsors board. We have a sponsor appointed trustee, that is Ms. Mary Malui. I don't know, you realize that she was retired in DB, but now she's in, let's clap for her. You also know the very able role she plays at Stima Sacco. She's done very well there. We have also another sponsored appointed trustee, that is who also happens to be the corporate secretary, that is Ndugu Austin Ouko. Tumpigie makofi. We also have Daniel Nzioka, he is a sponsor appointed trustee. He's an expert on matters insurance. We have an accountant, one of our own with an accountant, Charles Masio, also member nominated trustee. Then tuko na engineer Saria Onsoti, who is also a member elected. Tumpigie makofi engineer. And then finally we have Mohamed Abdi, who is a member's nominated trustee. He's also my assistant in the union. I'll also do the same for the retiring trustees. Today, members, we also bid farewell to our retiring trustees. Through their wisdom and guidance, they have not only contributed to the financial prosperity of our organization, but they have also been instrumental in nurturing a culture of innovation, collaboration, and inclusivity. They have set the high standards of integrity and ethical conduct, inspiring everyone within our organization to strive for excellence. We extend our deepest gratitude for their dedicated service and wish them well in their future endeavors. Once again, let us appreciate them. One, Asante. That is CS, our CS now, Rebecca Miano, who was sponsor appointed. Our acting CEO, Abram Serem, sponsor appointed. And finally, Mr. Peter Mutua Mutemi, members elected, who is our immediate national treasurer of Ketau. Now, this takes me to the next phase of introducing. After they retired, we now have new trustees. As we bid farewell to our retiring trustees, we embark on a new chapter with our incoming trustees who bring with them a wealth of knowledge, expertise, and fresh perspectives. Each one of them is a distinguished professional in their respective fields with a deep commitment to organization's mission and vision. May I now take this opportunity to introduce the trustees who joined the scheme during the year. And I'll start with Director Winnie Pertat. The profile has been shared in the screen, but I'll still read. Ms. Winnie was appointed to the Board of Trustees in the year 2022 as a sponsor-nominated trustee, and she is currently an independent and an executive director with KenGen PLC. She holds an MBA in Human Resource Management and a Bachelor of Education degree, both from Kenyatta University. She has a higher education in Human Resource Management and a diploma in executive coaching from the Academic of Executive Coaching. Next is Trustee Austin Ouko. Mr. Ouko was appointed to the Board of Trustees in the year 2022 as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently the company secretary and general manager, legal affairs at KenGen. He holds a Bachelor of Law, LLB, and Masters of Law, LLB, in Public Finance and Financial Services Law from the University of Nairobi, Master of the Science of Law from Stanford University Law School, California, USA. He is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Commissioner for Oaths, Notary Public, Registered Certified Public Secretary, Fellow of the Institute of Certified Secretaries of Kenya, Fellow of the Chartered Institutes of Arbitrators, UK and Kenya branch, an accredited governance auditor, member of the Law Society of Kenya, the International Bar Association, the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, and the Kenya Institute of Management. Ndio unaona uzuri ya kuwa na mtoto bado ukiwa kazini. Additionally, after the retirement of trustees as stated above, the sponsor nominated below additional trustees to the scheme in 2023. We have Madam Mrs. Mary Malu. She was appointed to the Board of Trustees in 2023 as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently the General Manager, Finance and Accounts at KenGen PLC. She holds a Master of Business, an MBA, and Bachelor of Commerce, BCom, from the University of Nairobi. She is a Certified Public Accountant and a member of the Institute of Public Accounts of Kenya, ISPAC. She holds a certificate in Senior Leadership Management Program from Strathmore University and a certificate in Utility Regulations and Strategy from the University of Florida. Trustee Daniel Nzioka was appointed to the Board of Trustees this year as a sponsor-nominated trustee and is currently the Insurance Manager at KenGen PLC. He holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Insurance and a Masters of Business Administration in Insurance from the University of Nairobi. He is an insurance practitioner with an advanced diploma from Chartered Institute of London, UK, and is an associate member of the Insurance Institute of Kenya. In addition, after the retirement of Peter Mutemi, a trustee nominated by Ketau, the union nominated below trustee to the scheme, and that is Trustee Mohammed Hali Abdi. He was appointed this year, and he works at in Hydros, Kamburu Power Station, as a senior assistant foreman. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration, and is also a member of the Kenya Institute of Management. He currently also holds a position. He is an executive board member at KOTU and is also the Assistant General Secretary in the Union, Ketau. We are also joined today, members, by our own, that is the CEO and Trust Secretary, Ndugu Josephat Morioki. So this, with that, members, this takes us to the second poll, and TS, kindly share the second poll.
Thank you, Chair. I'll share the second poll. IT, please. The second poll, Chair, it's more concentrating on a lump sum payment. When a member leaves, the schemes allow them to take a 1/3 of their members' benefits, part of what they take home for retirement, and then the rest is used, the 2/3 is used to get them the monthly income. So the question is, would you consider to receive a reduced lump sum amount in retirement, instead increase your monthly income through adding some fund to purchase price? Would you consider reducing your lump sum payment in retirement and instead increase your monthly income through adding the funds to purchase a monthly income? The answers are coming through, Chair, and good consideration. There's a competition between no and yes. Some people still feel like they require to take more home, while some others would consider to reduce their lump sum to increase their monthly income. And Chair, I can confirm then this gives us an indication that then not everybody is interested with the lump sum. Yeah. We can be able to reduce the lump sum and be able to give them a better monthly income. So this is something we'll be considering as we go on with the retirement planning and retirement training for the people about to retire and also members in active service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, TS. Distinguished members, allow me also to recognize the service providers who are with us. Members, also joining us today are our professional service providers, and the industry regulator, RBA, and that was already done. Kindly allow me to introduce them to you. This has already been done, and Seth, it was introduced. I don't need to repeat that. For the investment managers, we have different investment managers for this scheme. We have OMIG, Old Mutual Investment, and it's being represented here by John Kiara. Tumpigie makofi John Kiara. He's a senior portfolio manager, and we also have Eric Ndichu. Tumpigie makofi. And then we have an old hand here representing ICA Lion, and is being represented by the able CEO, that is Einstein Kianda. Tumpigie makofi Einstein. Einstein together is with Esther Mchai, Senior Portfolio Manager. She's just stepped out. Yeah, you'll be seeing her when she's back. Custodian, we have Eva Mwangi, who has always graced almost all our AGMs. Let's clap for her, please. And then she's also together with Purity Hua, that is a relationship manager. She didn't turn up, I'm told. And then the auditor, Deloitte and Touch. We have John Muhalia. Tumpigie makofi John, ndio huyo. Thank you. TS, you can read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. I'll read the notice of the meeting and release it as it was issued, Chair. So this is the notice of meeting for the annual general meeting for the KenGen DC scheme. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of the KenGen DC scheme will be held today at Pride in Paradise, Mombasa on 28th July 2023. The meeting was expected to commence from 11:00 a.m. The agenda for the meeting, Chair, is as stated, reading the notice of the meeting, which I am currently doing, to receive chairman's report, to receive fund manager's report, to receive custodian report, to receive the scheme audited financial statement for the period ended 31st December 2022, together with the auditor's report therein, to receive RB remarks, plenary session, any other business chair which due notice has been received, and then closing remarks. Chair, also good to note that this is a hybrid AGM where members from Kipevu and other coast areas are able to join physically, and other members are joining us virtually. This notice was issued on 14th of June 2023, signed by myself, the Josephat Murik, the CEO, and the Trust Secretary. Thank you by the order of the board.
Thank you very much, TS. We now shall review item number 6 of the agenda on the scheme's audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2022. So I'll read my report. Dear members, as the chairman of the KenGen DC scheme, I'm delighted to report on the scheme's performance during the year ended 31st December 2022. Though quite a tumultuous year for any investor, our singular mandate remains to ensure sustainable retirement benefits to our members and beneficiaries. By nature, the scheme is forward-looking organization. We make decisions today with a view to the best interest of multiple generations, which is key to our market, and this draws our focus continually towards the long-term performance. Members, during the year 2022, Kenya experienced a steady economic recovery from COVID-19 shocks, more so on the hospitality industry. The largest detractors to performance were external, including the Russia-Ukraine war, which has elevated fuel and food prices. The hike on inflation rate in Kenya, which closed at 9.1 in December 2022, was directly because of this. The currency weakened against the dollar as the demands for the dollar grew due to global economic uncertainty. The treasury bill rates also rose during the year due to increased fiscal deficit, financing, and inflationary pressure. The Nairobi All Share Index, NASI, and NSC Share Index shared 23.7% and 12.4% respectively in the year 2022 due to heavy foreign investor sale. I think there is some, maybe you need to mute some of these members. Respectively in the year 2022 due to heavy foreign investor sell-offs and investor pessimism. Scheme investment overview. The scheme's investment portfolio is broadly diversified, holding investment ranging from publicly traded short-term and long-term government securities, real estate, and privately held equity investments. The scale and breadth of investment make the management and oversight of these assets highly complex. With approximately Kenya shillings 9.9 billion in net assets as of the year end, a shy from Kenya shillings 10 billion mark, the scheme's asset growth over the years has been steady, albeit a marginal decline in this last year, which was attributable to a slow economic atmosphere. Board of Trustees. Members, during the year, the board adopted and implemented an annual board evaluation exercise as a necessary tool to measure governance, accountability, and areas of improvement while carrying out our mandate. During the year 2022, several changes were registered with the retirement of CS Rebecca Miano and Peter Mutemi from the Board of Trustees. In addition, one more trustee retired from the board during the current year, that is Mr. Abraham Serem, which marked the appointment of Ms. Winnie Petet and Ms. Austin Ouko in 2022, and the appointment of Ms. Mary Malu, Daniel Nzioka, and Mohamed Abdi in the year 2023. The 5 trustees bring a wealth of diverse skills and experience to further strengthen the scheme's governance framework. the perspective of the scheme's future, members. As we take a leap into the year 2023, both global and local economic outlook is expected to slow down to 2.8% and 5.4% respectively. We expect a tough investment landscape marked with elevated inflationary pressures resulting from high fuel and food prices, which will cause a decline in disposable incomes. The Kenya shilling depreciation to continue, the average treasury bill rates to rise further, but gradually, effectively causing a rise in commercial bank interest rates. Further, an upward shift in the yield curve is expected, with investor preference to be on short-term debt securities. Stocks in the NSE are likely to underperform. It appears all gloom and doom, but be assured, the board's task is long-term value creation. This will be achieved through maintaining a disciplined asset mix, which is rebalanced regularly to align to different investment cycles. We remain committed to serving our members and ensuring the pension fund continues to pay promised pension benefits for the current and future generations. Appreciation. Members, we drive our commitment to serve you through team effort from many of you. To the sponsor, we say thank you for the relentless support. I also extend my gratitude to my colleagues in the board who are seated here in front, all professional advisors, the secretariat, and most importantly, you members, for working with our leadership during the year 2022 as we drive the commitment to provide sustainable retirement benefits. Thank you, members. This now takes us to the third poll. I think we are moving on very well. TS, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'll ask IT to project the next poll. Chair, the scheme has a members portal where members are able to access, check their benefits, check their beneficiaries, and check about even the projected benefits for the future. So the question is, do you know that the scheme has a members portal that you can access from anywhere you are? And if so, how often do you access the members portal? The question, do you know that the scheme has a members portal that you can access from anywhere you are? And if so, how often do you access the members portal? So the answer, first one is very often. The other one is once in a while. I rarely visit the portal. I don't know what the members portal is. Chair, from the result on the screen, very often we have 18%. One in a while is 37%. I rarely visit the portal is 28%. I don't know what the members portal is. We have 18%. It's a confirmation that, Chair, we have a lot to do to market the portal so that the members understand the benefit that comes with this portal, to be able to check their benefits, their beneficiaries, and also even project what is payable in retirement. So, Chair, we take this to as we go on with our member education and our information to members. Thank you.
Yeah, please, especially those who don't know what the portal is. Now, members will give an opportunity to our service providers, and I'll call upon HOMIG rep, and that is John Kiara, to take us through the fund manager's report. And then it will be followed by Eva Mwangi for the custodian.
Thank you, Chairman. The chairman of the DC scheme, the chairman of the DB scheme, the Board of Trustees, members of the DC scheme and members of the DB scheme, fellow service providers, invited guests, good afternoon. Shikamo. Mpo. Yes, I know there was a challenge by the member to speak in Kiswahili, lakini unajua Kiswahili kilizaliwa hapa, kikafika Nairobi tukakiua, lakini tutajaribu. Yeah, so this afternoon we'll do the short presentation. So this is a joint presentation. I want to acknowledge the co-manager for the DC scheme, and that is ICA Lion. So we have colleagues from ICA Lion, and of course my colleague from Old Mutual, Eric. So I know we have spoken a lot about the investment environment. My colleague also, Dan, in the morning also spoke about the market. We obviously operate from the same market. So I'll just do a very brief summary just in terms of the markets. Most importantly, we go to the numbers and also talk about how the performance was. But just in brief, in terms of our role as a fund manager, it's exactly what my colleague earlier did mention about what we do as a fund manager. Of course, together with ICA Lion, our key role is to advise the Board of Trustees. So on a day-to-day basis, obviously we do have the delegated responsibility of making the investment decisions. If you could go to the next slide. That of course means that we do a lot of research just to make sure that we have the best investment ideas, which obviously means that as we do the investment, we make sure that we are optimizing kila shilingi ambayo inaingia kwa fund. 4 times in a year tunakutana na board ya trustee. Wakati mwingine inakuwa hata zaidi ya mara 4, especially wakati kuna maneno mingi kwa uchumi, ambapo tunajaribu ku make sure that tuko na ile investment portfolio ambayo itatusaidia kuzalisha hizi pesa. And then of course making sure that we are submitting the important reports to the regulator, who is RBA, and I think our colleague from RBA did confirm that. So in nutshell, hiyo ndio ile kazi kama fund manager wa scheme ya DC tunafanya pamoja na Sanlam. Pamoja na ICA Lion. The next one is of course ni about the market. I think I will not belabor the point. Last year was a very difficult year. I think we have heard about the reasons why the economy did perform the way it performed. I think the 3 key important thing is that there was a drought. That drought was the worst in 40 years. And of course what that means is that especially from a food output perspective, that had a very big implication in terms of how the growth of the economy did perform. Nafikiri wengi wetu wakati chakula ilikuwa inakuja chini kutoka huko juu, tuliona vile hiyo drought ilitufanya, sio? The second one of course was about Ukraine. Again, I wouldn't belabor the point, but of course that have a very important implication because Kenya as a country, we are very interconnected with what's happening within the global market. So wakati tunasikia Ukraine na Russia wameanza kupigana, hiyo inakuwa na a lot of impact kwa especially in terms of oil prices. So a very tough year, very challenging year, and that obviously did impact in terms of investment markets. Moving on next, if you go to inflation, hii ni ongezeko ya bei. Vinye tuliongea tukasema this was a very tough year for a lot of especially Kenyans, where we saw inflation significantly go up. At one point went as high as 9.6%, which means then that wakati bei zimeongezeka, tunakuwa hatuna pesa ya kuinvest, and that has also an implication on the investment market. The next one is in terms of interest rates. Hizi ni viwango vya riba. So viwango vya riba ni muhimu kwa sababu close to 60% ya hii fund has invested in securities that have interest-bearing instruments, meaning that we're investing with government, we're investing with companies that return our principal plus interest. So when the government interest rates are going up, meaning that the government has to pay higher to be able to attract the same funds, that has a big implication. The implication being that you know, we are getting higher interest, investment income, but also when we do the valuations for especially the bonds portfolio, tunaona kwamba, you know, the prices of the bonds come down. And that is one of the key reasons why, from a performance perspective, the performance is slightly lower compared to what we saw for 2021. The positive thing about it is that, of course, we're also able to get higher investment income, since we're also able to look at these higher interest rates. Tukienda kwa soko ya hisa, kwa sababu pia kuna kipande cha portfolio kiko kwa hisa, last year was also not a very good year for the shares market. Chairman amesema the market came off by about 23%. The fund did slightly better, but of course, given the fact that you're also operating the same market, we also had some challenges there. But positively, a lot of the companies that we have invested in, which are the big companies, you know, the likes of the banks, telecommunication sector, those companies, hata mkiangalia kwa financials, they also did pay dividends, meaning that in as much as the prices came down, there is also some money that you also got in the bank account in form of dividends. Now, in terms of offshore markets, so hizi ni zile soko za nje ambazo pia kwa kujaribu kufanya tukue na diversification, we have also invested some money outside the country in some of the key better performing economies like the US. Even there, the situation was not as good, just like what we saw for here. So basically what you're showing there is that, you know, for 2022, we saw quite a sharp decline. But we have seen some slight recovery, especially in 2023, which of course we'll talk about in the next year's AGM. Finally, in terms of where the assets were invested in an environment like what we had, it made a lot of sense to try and get assets where there is a bit more certainty about where the incomes are coming from. So a lot of the money, as you can see there, is invested in government securities. Hizi ni dhamana za serikali. We have about 56%. Kuna member aliuliza kama tumenunua infrastructure bonds. We want to confirm that actually we do buy infrastructure bonds, including the latest, which I'm sure you may have bought at about 15.8%. So hizo ziko katika hiyo category ya government securities at 56%. We also have investment in bank deposits of about 5%. Again, as I mentioned last year and this year, we have seen that also help us. We also have about 14% in property. And then katika soko la hisa, Nairobi Securities Exchange, kuko na 17% as at the end of the year. And then outside the country, in some of the big economies he spoke about, we have about 2%. So in total, that is how the 9.6 billion shillings that you as members have in the fund, that is how is invested. The key thing also just to mention is that the investments are in line with the investment policy statement, which is a very important document that the Board of Trustees have prepared together with an investment consultant, looking at your membership and also guiding in terms of how the investments need to be done, and also as guided by the Retirement Benefits Authority. So we just want to confirm that, you know, the investments have been done in line with what is required by the two. So finally, is about 2023. We already passed the halfway mark for the year. Vile mwenzangu alisema, of course, from an economic perspective, the economy has come under significant pressure. However, this year something very positive has happened. Tumekuwa na mvua, hivyo tushukuru Mungu sana, na hiyo mvua imetuwezesha kufanya, na tuna hope in the second half of the year, the food production will be significantly better than what we saw for last year. However, there are still significant challenges. If you think about, for example, the higher taxes that are likely to come through the Finance Act, that is obviously likely to impact in terms of purchasing power. That of course means that inflation is still expected to remain high, and also especially the currency. We have continued to see the Kenya shilling continue to slide. So with that kind of environment, as the investment professionals, we're doing our best together with the Board of Trustees to make sure that we have the right assets. And there are a couple of things, because also there's a member who asked, what is it that we are doing given that kind of environment? So a couple of things that we are doing. The first thing, of course, is making sure that we continue to have higher allocation to government securities, the dhamana za serikali. And the reason for that is because government, of course, as you know, has continued to pay for all the debt that they have, and also now that you're getting higher interest rates. We also continue to invest part of the money with the big banking institutions, again, where we're also getting quite some good interest. Katika soko la hisa, hapo kwa sababu there's a bit of volatility, tumepunguza kidogo in terms of the assets that are in the stock exchange. But again, tumebakisha kwa sababu when the economy recovers, again, that is also where we expect to see quite some good recovery come through. The other last thing is that we continue to have some investments outside the country. And the reason why it is important to have investments out of the country is because wakati shilingi inapo weaken, especially towards the dollar, when you're holding assets which are in dollars, obviously you tend to get better returns. And we have seen also some of those bigger markets, economies do better than what we have seen. And therefore, we continue to increase the exposure that we have in those kind of offshore markets. So members, as we conclude, is just to reassure you that the scheme investments continue to be strong. Last year, of course, the performance was a bit low, given the circumstances. We are doing the best we can to ensure that we continue to grow your fund. If you look at your fund over the last 5 years, it has grown quite strongly. And we think that, given what you have in place, that momentum is going to be maintained. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, nitasimama hapo. Asante sana. Thank you. Forgive me for my broken Kiswahili. Asante.
Asante. Asante Kiara, ulisema utasimama na unaondoka. Asante. Thank you. Now I call Eva Mwangi to take us through the custodian's report. And kindly just confirm the numbers, Eva, if you don't mind, because of time.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon again, members. If you go to the next slide, please. So as guided by the chair on our role, I'll not repeat that. However, there's one item that I wanted to point out to the members, because now we're talking about a contributory scheme. In terms of your contributions, I want to confirm to the membership that your sponsor does remit your contributions on time every single month. So you should commend them for that. There's some pension funds that don't remit contributions. So Chair, as guided by, let me give a breakdown of the assets that we were holding for this fund. We held at the end of this financial year, quoted equities. Those are your shares in the stock exchange, valued at 1.6 billion shillings. We were holding treasury bonds, valued at 5.2 billion shillings. Your corporate bonds at 59 million shillings. Fixed deposits at 494.1 million. You also do have property, and those properties were valued at 1.3 billion. Private equity at 433.6 million shillings, treasury bills at 106.8, offshore investments at 205.5, and you had a small cash balance there of 19.4 million, giving a total fund value of 9.6 billion shillings, 920 million at the end of the financial year. To the next slide, in terms of risk mitigations, this is the same for the DC scheme. We apply the same to protect your investments. And finally, in terms of confirmation, I also want to confirm, similar to the DB scheme, that all income earned, if you could move the next slide, please, was collected on time for this particular fund. All your investments, again, were executed within the laid down regulations. All your investments were also invested according to your fund manager's instructions, and that your investments are safe with us. So nataka kuhakikisha kuwa pesa zenu za uzeni ziko salama. Asanteni sana.
Asante. I see people improving in Kiswahili. Now, Litunya? Yeah, sorry, Byram. Yeah, karibu. Yeah, he's representing Deloitte and Touch audit firm.
Yeah, the chair, trustees, members and fellow service providers. Good afternoon. As the chair has mentioned, I'm Bayram Litunya from Deloitte and Touche LLP, the auditors of the scheme. So I'm here to read the independent auditors report to the members of KenGen DC scheme. So our opinion is on, our report is on page 37 to 39, and I'll just specifically read some specific paragraphs from the auditor's report. So allow me to read. Independent auditor's report to the members of KenGen defined contribution, that is DC scheme. Report on the audit of the financial statement. Our opinion. We have audited the accompanying financial statement of KenGen defined contribution scheme. That's a scheme set out on pages, should be 40 to 64, which comprise the statement of net assets available for benefit at 31st December 2022, and the statement of changes in net asset available for benefit, and the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement give a true and fair view of the financial transaction of the scheme during the year ended 31st December 2022, and the disposition at that date of its asset and liabilities, other than liabilities to pay retirement and other benefits falling due after the end of the year in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Kenya Retirement Benefits Act. Based for opinion, we conducted our audit in accordance with the international standards on auditing, that's ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the scheme in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for the Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the financial statement in Kenya, and we have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with this requirement and ISBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide basis for our opinion. In summary, what we are saying, we have given a clean auditor's opinion. I'll go to page 39, and I'll read the last paragraph. So the engagement partner responsible for the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is FCPA Freda Law, practice certificate number 1537. He signed for and on behalf of Deloitte and Touche LLP, Certified Public Accountants, Kenya, Nairobi. The date of the auditor's report was 28th March 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tumpigie makofi auditor. Members, I do propose that the annual report and financial statement for the year ended at 1st December 2022 be taken as read. Now, this is the final poll, the fourth poll. I now call Trust Secretary to do that.
Thank you, Chair. The final poll, we look at the environment, social and governance, and we're asking ourselves, as the scheme look at the strategic plan and implementation of our investment agenda, would our member be interested if we were to look at investment that fulfills the ESG agenda? And so the question is, would you be interested if the scheme would consider environmental, social and governance framework in its investment strategy agenda? Would you be interested if the scheme would consider the environmental social governance framework its investment strategic agenda? Chair, is a clear confirmation that our members want a future which is better, investment that have impact and great governance. So it's 96% yes and 4% no. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Let's clap for the members. That's very good. That is very good. Now, next is, I'm supposed to take you through the minimum agenda items. I now wish to take you through the following minimum agenda items as stipulated in the RBA Act. During the year, the meetings held for the full board and the various committees are as follows. We had 6 full board meetings, 5 admin and communication committee meetings, 5 audit and risk management committee meetings, and lastly, 7 investment and strategy committee meetings. The trustees' remuneration is disclosed in the financial report on page 61. Currently, the scheme pays a sitting allowance of Kenya shillings 28,000 to the board chair and 24,500 to the board members, all net of taxes. Trustees' remuneration will not be reviewed since the scheme continues to work on upholding the prescribed administration costs as per the scheme's strategic objective. However, the Board of Trustees looks forward to aligning the same with the trustees' remuneration policy as gazetted by RBA. And there is already a deadline for that. I think it should be around March or April next year. We should have complied with that. Additionally, I would like to also confirm that there were no changes in the benefit structure and contribution rate in the year under review. Now, we are moving to Q&A. For the DB Q&A, we had the RBA representative, Steve, and I don't think whether they send anything unless something, Steve, you have specific to DC scheme. If there isn't, then I think we'll proceed. Also, the sponsor, we also got the report from the sponsor, and that was also ably done by the acting CEO, Austin. Yeah. Now, members, we've come to the Q&A session. We shall start by getting questions from the floor, and then we also have those others virtual that will similarly be responded to by the TS. I know already quite a number have been responded to by the other secretariat staff. So ni wakati ya maswali. The field is now open. Tafadhali muinue mkono wenye those who want to ask questions. And I'm happy the way we are managing. Yes, there is a hand there behind. We'll take all the questions and then we'll respond to them.
Good morning. All protocols good afternoon. All protocols observed. My name is Herman. My question is, could you please provide a guidance on accessing how the offshore markets are accessed, particularly maybe the FHC 100, and would it be possible to implement a reallocation to increase offshore exposure maybe to around 20%, to safeguard the depreciation of our Kenyan shilling against the dollar? The second thing, do you collaborate with top fund managers such as Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and Franklin Templeton? And the third question is, the Moody's downgraded our rating from B2 to B3. That means we are from high credit risk to very high credit risk. Should we consider our position on holding majority of our investments on government bonds? Thank you.
Asante. Huyo anajua kitu anauliza. Asante. Yeah, please.
My name is Richard Chair, and my question is this. In our portfolio, I'm seeing we're in bonds, but I'm not seeing precious metals like gold, because world over, central banks are buying gold and stocking gold, because maybe people are running away from the US dollar. But what are we doing in this direction? In that, are we buying gold or maybe any other precious metals? Because I'm seeing only there are no precious metals in our portfolio. Thank you.
Asante. Hao ni members wa DC wanauliza maswali. Asante. Please don't shy. You should not be asking the same like the two. Unaweza kuuliza tu even a general one. Should not be specific. Please. Now, I think we can respond to those. Aman, I think umeuliza maswali nzuri sana, and I think the fund manager, any of the fund managers can respond, Dan or Einstein. Yeah? There were 3 questions. How offshore markets, how can we access? There was a question on that. There was also the issue of collaboration with the stock brokers. Yeah. What are we doing? And then the degrading of our of the country by Moody's. So, who can, Kiara, you can respond? Yeah, you can do it there.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll respond to the 3 questions, and thank you very much for the questions. They are very, very good questions. So, on the first question, he has asked whether, of course, we access the offshore markets and how we do it. So, we just want to confirm that, as you saw, we have about 3% that is in offshore markets. These investments are in the developed economies and also some in the emerging markets. So the likes of the US, the likes of UK, and a bit in China. So we can confirm that we have those investments, about 3%. Now, the second question was in terms of how we access that. I also just want to confirm that we access those funds through international fund managers, just like you have mentioned. And we access them through largely 2 big investment companies called BlackRock and Franklin Templeton. Those are some of the biggest that are there outside. In terms of the weight, yes, we have been increasing. And of course, we have ambitions to keep increasing as the fund grows. Currently, we're at 3%. And as you rightly said, given the expectations that are currently there, we'll obviously continue to increase. But again, we also want to make sure that we're not just doing it for the sake, all right? We're also comparing it with respective assets. For example, locally, now we have very attractive rates that we are getting from government securities. But the whole idea, together with the Board of Trustees, is to keep increasing the asset mix. So there was also the question around Moody's downgrade. So for the benefit of everybody, so Moody is an agency that looks at the risk profile for countries. So what they have done is that they have said that Kenya, given the pressures that we have, especially from a revenue perspective, that we are increasingly becoming more riskier from especially being able to service foreign debt. So for that reason, they have lowered our rating from a global perspective. So the impact of that, it means that when we go to international markets to borrow money, it means that we have to pay more because now our rating is slightly lower than where we had. So the way, of course, and then now, of course, now looking at how we have invested in the Kenya shilling debt, not the Eurobond. But of course, we are looking at opportunities also within the Eurobond. And the reason for that is, of course, from a local perspective, which is where the bulk of the government securities holding is, we think that for as long as the government can continue to offer high interest rates, it will still be able to get investors on to be able to pay for the ones that are maturing. And that is why we said, for example, currently, government has raised interest rates to very close to 17% to attract funds to be able to pay, of course, investments for those ones who are maturing. So we are managing that risk that way. Finally, the question on whether we are looking at other alternative investments like gold. It's a good point. Again, that's also an area that we are also pursuing. At the moment, we have not invested in precious metals yet, but of course, we continue to evaluate those opportunities with the Board of Trustees. I think at the end of it all, what we're trying to say is that we consider all these investment asset classes, but then also there's also the risk element because again, there's also some volatility that could come with investing in some of those particular investments. But when we are meeting with the Board of Trustees, every single investment opportunity that you can think about is always tabled it's always put on the table. Its merits and demerits considered, and then now we go to make the investment. So I hope that gives you comfort that the board, together with the managers, we are doing the best we can to diversify the fund. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Now, Trust Secretary, you can now read the questions from the chat module. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take you through the questions. One was from Kennedy Owindi, who was asking, then having the contribution for the scheme seat idle, why don't the trustee consider giving that contribution as part of a loan to members? Wish to confirm that that has been answered. The law does not allow that. This is money for your retirement and is not sitting idle, it's being invested by the fund managers. There was a question from Luca Walui, who was asking how much he'll be able to take home if he has 1 million in the account. The team has answered that. Then, Chair, there's a question from George Mwalobi. He's asking if the board can co-opt experts. In this case, there's a skill gap, and I wish to confirm that we let the sponsor and also during the election about any skill gap. And additional to that, the board has hired fund managers who are expert in investment, custodians, auditors, and internal auditors, where they offer expertise. As Chair, additional to that, 1 or 2 questions that have been put on the video. One of the questions is from Alexina Odiek. Good afternoon. Is there a way you can organize training to nurture the young generation towards retirement, not to rely on pension? Chair, last year we had a meeting. This year we're meeting with YGen. We are looking forward even to have more meeting with YGen to just train them on the retirement benefits. Chair, the last one I would want to handle. Would the scheme performance affect the agreed monthly installment negatively or positively in the income drawdown fund? Chair, the income drawdown fund, as it is stated, this is a question from Jennifer Odo. Income drawdown fund, the risk is taken by the member, as well as clearly stated. However, you have selected most likely will not be affected, but what is remaining on the pot might be affected depending on the performance of the market at that time. However, the board have diversified very well on income drawdown fund, majorly on government bonds and deposit only, and we hope the market will continue recovering well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trust Secretary. Now we are moving to the adoption of the Chairman's report. I now beg to move the Chairman's annual general meeting report, its proposals, recommendations, and presentations made by various stakeholders be adopted and form part of this meeting. May I have a proposer, please? Your name? Raise your hand and tell us your name. Yeah, there is a proposer there in the middle, please. Joseph? Joseph Mwambui, thank you very much. Joseph Mwambui has proposed. A seconder? The seconder there?
Holiness Mwadime.
Oh, sorry, it's Holiness. You're growing younger. Holiness Mwadime, thank you. I happen to know her very well. Yeah, so that has been adopted, and I'm now at the tail end, members. As we conclude the AGM, I want to say asante sana to the main organizers of this event, that is the Secretariat staff. You've done a wonderful job. You did well, yet again, to ensure nothing but a successful AGM. To our members watching from various areas and those with us here, we could not have had this AGM without you. That is quite definite. It is because of you that we are here, and this was reinforced by Sospita. We are here because of you. Thank you, Kipefu region and Pride Inn, Paradise, for your hospitality. Last and not least, I thank my fellow board members for your support, which is highly appreciated. Thank you so much. Members, distinguished members, there being no other business of which due notice has been given, may I take this opportunity to thank you once again for attending this AGM and wish you all a restful weekend. I now declare the meeting officially closed. Also, next is I now invite Mr. Ibrahim Saleh to lead us in closing prayers, and thereafter you may leave at your own pleasure. Asanteni sana, and God bless you all.